morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is currently sometime 7:10 in the morning. This is Real News, broadcasting live from the FMT Insurance Studios. It's a Monday. How you doing, Roz?
Great.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, all right.
Hello.
Hey.
Oh, Monday.
Hey, there you go. Yeah,
So
yeah.
exciting.
I know.
A new week. A new week of real news.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. A lot's been going on over the weekend, man.
Did you watch that Derby race at all?
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the horses.
Yeah. You didn't watch it? It was like a major
Am I
controversy.
supposed to?
I said, no, you weren't. No.
Is this
Sorry,
homework that
no,
I didn't know about? I didn't get the memo. I don't know.
No, you're right. I was very misleading with the way I jumped on you.
Yeah.
No.
I was like really scared there for a minute.
My sister likes to do all these big theme days. She has a fantastic time with it. She makes a bunch of themed food. We had hot browns, and they were drinking mint juleps. Anyways, the point being is...
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah,
That's cute.
I don't usually watch it either, but she made a whole
Thanks
day
for
of
the
it.
invite,
So,
sister.
yeah, right.
But
Anyways. But... no, the first time, I want to say in Derby history, possibly, certainly that I've ever remembered, and I've lived in Louisville for 5 or 6 years, the horse that actually won the race was disqualified. And the number 2 horse, there was a thing where...
Is it a transgender horse? What's going on here?
That's what it was. Horse that was born female and
Yeah,
transition
exactly.
male, or born male, rather, transition female.
You never
and,
know. You know, it's 2019, buddy.
There was something, and I don't even pretend to understand the rules of horse racing, but there was something where the lead horse... I don't remember the horse's name. It doesn't matter. Someone will tell me on Facebook. The lead horse had taken the inside track, and then at the very last turn, broke outside by a foot or so. Now, the horse's jockey said that when it was coming around that final corner...
Oh, so he's a cheater.
Well, see, that's what it came down to. Is
He's a cheater.
It broke outside and paused the gallop motion of the horse behind it by a little bit, and they said that it was cutting off that other horse. Right? Now, I don't know what the rules are. I don't know why it was the rules or whatever.
Did you see that?
I saw it. It didn't mess up the other horse all that
there you
much.
go.
But
I mean, if Mr. Henry saw it, that's real news right there. So
that's real
he
news
should have
right
been.
there. That's right. Hey, by the way, I'm just gonna dive straight into a bunch of stuff we're talking about today because
I just love the hats.
Yeah.
I know that's super random, but I do.
No, I mean that's half the reason to go. There's the
Yeah,
hats.
and the what is it? Do you have to have the mint juleps? I thought it was the mojito. That's no.
One of the two. Some minty clear vodka based drink, I believe. I think it's mint juleps. What did I say?
What does it matter? If it has vodka in it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
You know?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter
I mean,
at
if you're on the infield, you're wearing jeans and smashing Bud Lights anyway, so it doesn't
Right.
matter. But yeah, it's
Pretty much.
drunken folks, big hats, and bow ties. That's basically all you need to know,
That's
right?
fine.
All right, so it's Monday. I have a slew of things that I wanted to get to last week, but now on Friday, I want to focus on caller stuff. Here's what I'm going through today. I'm gonna dive straight into some of this stuff for y'all, all right? I'll start with this. What a weird world we live in when Black Lives Matter partners with Planned Parenthood, and no one even mentions Margaret Sanger. Margaret Sanger. That's the first story we're bringing up. Next story. You've been told for a while that we're living in the most politically divisive times, at least in modern history. As far as my modern memory serves, that's what we've been told by all mainstream media. Trump is responsible for the most politically divisive times ever. Well, the question then becomes, who's separating from who? New Pew Research data that I came across over the weekend indicates, obviously, it's one thing to say that's a totally different thing to have data to back it up. New Pew Research data is indicating that Democrats have shifted dramatically to the left, while Republicans remained relatively consistent ever since 1994 when they first started taking these numbers. Lastly, I'm going to end the show out with 2 different topics. I'm going to get a little bit local as we end here, but what I wanted to bring up, man, this has taken me probably, no joke, 1-2 solid months to research some of the stuff I'm going to go through today. I mean, it's heavy stuff. And unfortunately, on a day like today is one of those days where real news just cannot slow down. It cannot slow down. With the New York Times finally admitting on Thursday that Trump was spied on, we're going to go through that story. I'm going to follow it up, though, with an insanely deep dive into the FISA court abuse. Because all this stuff that I.G. Horowitz, that he's about to report on, that he's been gathering data over the last couple of years, it's all wrapped up in the FBI abuse, the abuse of the FISA court. And I'm telling you, I don't want to bury the lead too much. The lead on that story, the FISA abuse, the Steele dossier, which everyone for a long time has been reporting on, The fabrications to start the investigation, the fabrication to start the spying, the fabrication to justify the beginning of looking into the Trump campaign and then on into the Trump presidency. I am now believing that is not true. What is true is that the Steele dossier was fabricated to cover up the spying that was already taking place. I'll say that one more time. The Steele dossier was fabricated to cover up the spying on the Trump campaign that was already taking place for years prior to that. Years. One final piece on that, NSA Director Mike Rogers. This all culminates down to the timing upon which he shut down what are called Section 702 about queries. When Mike Rogers shut down Section 702 about queries, the timing of when that happened coincides almost perfectly with when this Steele dossier reemerged. If that doesn't make sense now, it will later on. And then we'll end the show with some local stuff here, local stories, something I always love reporting on, believe this. Local stories now concerning a massive child sex ring bust, a huge 10, 13 statewide sting all throughout the southern states. And finally, I was sent by, Recode Michael, I believe, last night. Knoxville City Mayor O'Hara finally speaks out on Recode, finally speaks out on the genesis of Recode. More pointedly, finally speaks out on, is it true that we have or haven't updated the zoning codes in the last 50 years? All right, so where we're starting out this morning is, I put this poll out on Facebook over the last couple of days here, and I just asked, real news headline or fake news headline? Remember how we used to do real news, fake news in the show? Got a little bit difficult sometimes. We were giving away stuff for it. We'll probably bring that up again as a segment. Should be fun. This is one of those real news, fake news things. I put this headline out there and asked the real news audience, Planned Parenthood and Black Lives Matter leaders partner for women's deal, ahead of 2020. Planned Parenthood and Black Lives Matter leaders partner for Women's New Deal movement ahead of 2020. I asked that poll question at Facebook, and good on the real news audience, 92% of you said that this was real news. 92%. There were still some people out there thinking that this was fake news. That's how difficult it's become to determine whether some things are real news or fake news. Here's the story. I'll give you some analysis when we get back. Cecil Richards, the former CEO of abortion chain Planned Parenthood, and Alicia Garza, co-founder of Black Lives Matter, are partnering with Aijinpo, director of National Domestic Workers Alliance. The women say one of the priorities of their group, dubbed Supermajority, is to create a women's new deal for gender equality and launch a new political action group in advance of the 2020 election, also stressing the focus on intersectional issues important specifically to Black Lives Matter. Now, intersectionalities, this whole thing I don't want to get into now, it kind of explains itself. Moving on, Cecil Richards tweeted the following, I'm so excited to introduce you to Supermajority, a new home for women's activism. Supermajority will be a place to stay informed, take meaningful action, and connect with other women activists, newcomers, and veterans alike. Now, we got to hit this break right now, but I'll say this. This isn't even a tease on the way out. This is just eventually where I'm going with this. If you look at the statistical disparity between races regarding abortion statistics in any, it's going to be controversial. It's going to be controversial. But if you look at that statistical disparity based upon race in any other given context, we are basically getting dangerously close to qualifying this as genocide. Straight up, Planned Parenthood, genocide in the African-American race. I'm looking at the stats right in front of me. I'm not wrong about this. My mind is absolutely blown over here. What a strange world we live in when Planned Parenthood is partnering with Black Lives Matter, and the latter half of that group doesn't even pause to think, wait, which lives matter here? Do they matter to Planned Parenthood? Apparently not. 719, be right back. I'm gonna take my horse to the hotel room.
I got the horses in.
Facebook, how's that audio sounding? Just tweaked some over the weekend.
Oh, I got the horses in. Facebook, I've got all your sign.
All right, for you.
No, you're welcome.
I gotta go grab my water real quick. Getting cotton mouth.
Toyota,
Be back.
and be treated like family. Family owned and operated for decades. Fox Toyota, exit 122 off I-75 North, or call them toll free 844-818-0255. Check out their website at foxtoyotaclinton.com. That's foxtoyotaclinton.com.
TN Connect Credit Union, helping you stay connected to your money, to your financial goals, to your plans for the future. TN Connect Credit Union is the oldest credit union in Tennessee, and they still hold tightly to the same credit union community values and financial responsibility that they always have. TN Connect Credit Union still connects you with free checking accounts with rewards, emergency fund high-yield savings accounts, and TN Connect Credit Union connects you to the best in modern convenience with comprehensive digital and mobile services. TN Connect Credit Union, connecting you to your new car, a new home, saving for college, saving for retirement, connecting you with financial solutions, with local hometown personal service that's safe, secure, and federally insured. TN Connect Credit Union is located at 6211 Middlebrook Pike in Knoxville. Online at tnconnectcu.org or connect by phone at 865-688-2424. Keeping you connected to your money. TN Connect Credit Union.
Hey, Knoxville, it's Ben Shapiro. Liberalism is dead. This is the left. Liberalism used to be about, we want a little more government intervention in the economy. I disagreed with that, but that was the case. Now liberalism is about confessing your racism in public, even if you're not a racist. Now it's about, if you criticize us, then you're inciting violence. You want to break up a democracy, you want to break up a republic, this is how you do it right here. And we're watching it happen. The Ben Shapiro Show, weekday afternoons at 4 on Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760.
Uncle Lem's Outfitters is now open in Pigeon Forge at 2450 Parkway. Check out the new styles for spring. Great brands like Patagonia. Sale also applies at their 9715 Kingston Pike location in West Knoxville.
Traffic from the FMT Insurance Studios of Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760.
Well, so far, 2 through around downtown in pretty good shape. We have got some sort of a problem at Edgemore Road. Maybe up near the steam plant, could be closer to the Sawway Bridge. It's blanketed with fog, so I'm not sure what we can see from the air, but we're heading that way right now. An extra problem on Edgemore Road near Oak Ridge Highway. Mother's Day, Echelon Floors has cash and carry wrap roses.
Hey, are we going to talk about the child trafficking? Or what are we talking about?
The what?
Child trafficking, or what are we talking about?
Right now, it's the Planned Parenthood.
A promise was made.
Do what?
I was going to talk about the child trafficking stuff at 9.
Okay.
A vow that captured Iwo Jima. A contract that weathered Tet. A pledge that stormed the desert in Iraq. An IOU that braved IEDs in Kandahar. A promise was made to America's veterans. DAV fights to keep that promise, so all veterans and their families get the benefits and support they earned. For help, visit DAV.org.
This is the promo with the wooden hand. This is the promo. I like to play in sand. This is the promo. Come in here, my band. If you don't, I don't like you. We're gonna lose the battle of bands. $7:24 in the morning. Welcome back to Real News, ladies and gentlemen. If you just joined the program, what we are talking about today is this headline. Planned Parenthood, or rather at this particular moment, this is what we're talking about. Planned Parenthood and Black Lives Matter leaders partner for Women's New Deal ahead of 2020. Cecil Richards, she's the CEO of Planned Parenthood, former CEO, says, I'm so excited to introduce you to Supermajority. That's what they're calling their new movement, Supermajority. A new home for women's activism. Supermajority will be a place to stay informed, take meaningful action, and connect with other women activists, newcomers and veterans alike. Now, according to BuzzFeed, the organizers plan to teach 2 million women how to engage in political activism. The group will emphasize the intersection of issues affecting different racial, and socioeconomic groups in the U.S. Now, Richards and Poe, one of the other individuals here, told BuzzFeed News on Saturday They went on to say, in collaboration with its separate education division, Supermajority will train women on how to participate in politics and activism in their communities, both online and on the ground. The progressive leaders say they'll travel around the country for a, quote, listening tour to meet with women about priority issues. Now, I stopped right there when I was reading this paragraph and thought to myself, man, I really a listening tour? Really?
So is it like the Black Lives Matter part, like their IQ's really low, or what's going on?
No, honestly, Roz, I mean, I know you're asking that in a slightly facetious manner just to make people laugh, but at the same time, it's seriously where I went to. What? But
kind of for real. Like, what is the quote of what's her face, Margaret Sanger?
Oh, I'm getting all those. I have probably 10 of those lined up right now, and with exact citations of where they came from. But yeah, the point being is Margaret Sanger was trying to look, man. She was trying to couple or replicate exactly what the Nazis were doing. Let's be for real. It was eugenics. It was straight up eugenics.
Absolutely.
And she was basically saying African Americans need to stop breeding. I'm sorry if that's the first time you've heard that. And I say it that way, Ross, because I'm thinking this might be the first time that some people are hearing, what? What are you talking about, Mr. Henry? Planned Parenthood was started under a racist guise? Yeah, it was. It absolutely was.
Yeah, I don't know if the Black Lives Matter ever Googled it.
They may just not know. They may not know, and that's part of my analysis I'm going to get to here in a minute. Okay, fine. So let's say that you don't know that. Let's say you have no conception of who Margaret Sanger is or the overtly racist principles under which Planned Parenthood was started. That's fine. Well, you still got to do something for me with the statistical information as to the percentage of African Americans that are being aborted. Either way, I continue. Progressive leaders said that they will travel around the country for a listening tour. I'm wondering if anybody on this listening tour dares to bring up what Roz just brought up. The dreaded Margaret Sanger name. What in the world are they going to do to them? This is another quote here from an individual named Wynn. Alongside the entire Planned Parenthood family, I'm thrilled about the launch of Supermajority, which builds upon the work of so many powerful women leaders and women's rights activists across the country. One, again, has to stop here and wonder, how many more powerful women would we have right now inspiring other women towards strong community activism if it weren't for the efforts of Planned Parenthood? Now, Poe hopes to work with Time's Up, the organization launched by women in Hollywood after the hashtag #MeToo movement took hold of the country. And according to this report, Supermajority will also work closely with you'll love this aspect, a group entitled Pantsuit Nation. Pantsuit Nation. Who is the one individual that this group could be associated with? That's right, Hillary Clinton. This is a Facebook group. It was created to support Hillary Clinton's failed 2016 House bid.
Oh, I have her speech on when she honors Margaret Sanger as well.
Who?
Hillary Clinton.
Clinton?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to feel dumb for saying this, but I didn't even know that. There's a speech where Hillary Clinton's on honoring Margaret Sanger?
In 2014.
Ugh.
Yep.
All right, look, to say the irony here is overwhelming would be an absolute understatement. Again, keep in mind what's happening here. Keep in mind, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is partnering with Planned Parenthood. Now, let me just start here before we hit this break. I'll come back with some of this as well. Let me just start by reading a few quotes from Margaret Sanger. And while I'm reading these, keep in mind, for those that are either naysayers that disagree with if you disagree with the principle, the tactic, the strategy of talking about Planned Parenthood while starting with a conversation of Margaret Sanger, fine. Bear with me at least for the next 30 minutes here, though, because we want to get into the statistical data of why that still is correct. Regardless of what you think about Margaret Sanger, unfortunately, her vision is bearing out. Let me start by reading a few quotes from Margaret Sanger, and I've included their citations of when and where they're from, so I don't inadvertently attribute a quote to Sanger that wasn't from her. You got to make sure you're as factually accurate as possible when you're trying to fearmonger here, right? Quote from Margaret Sanger: "We don't want the word to go out that what we really want to do is exterminate the Negro population." Her words, not mine. This is pulling from a letter to Dr. Clarence J. Gamble, written on December 10th, 1939. It's on page 2 of that letter. We don't want the word to go out that what we actually want to do is exterminate the Negro population. This is Margaret Sanger, what I'm about to read from her own autobiography, published in 1938 on page 336. Quote, "I've accepted an invitation to talk to the women's branch of the Ku Klux Klan." Yes, that triple K. I've accepted an invitation to talk to the women's branch of the Ku Klux Klan. I was escorted to the platform, was introduced, and began to speak. In the end, through simple illustrations, I believe I had accomplished my purpose. One might pause and ask, what is that purpose? Well, the final sentence tells that to you. I believe I accomplished my purpose. A dozen invitations to speak to similar groups were offered. What other groups are similar to the KKK if they're not racist in their nature? I've accepted a dozen invitations to speak to similar groups. Fine, that didn't convince you. Let's go here. Quote, my own position is that the Catholic doctrine is illogical, not in accord with science, and definitely against social welfare and race improvement. My own position is that the Catholic doctrine is illogical, not in accord with science, and definitely against social welfare and race improvement. Catholics don't like when you abort. You have to abort to improve races. That's what I'm hearing. Margaret Sanger, this is from the Pope's position on birth control, January 27th, 1932. Still not following along. Here's another one. These two words, birth control, sum up our whole philosophy. It means the release and cultivation of better elements in our society. Goodness, for real, I can't even read some of this on air without my stomach just churning here. It means the release and cultivation of better elements in our society, the gradual suppression, elimination, and eventual extinction of defective stocks, the human weeds which threaten the blooming of the finest flowers of American civilization. That's Margaret Sanger, highlights in the history of birth control on October 1923. Here's Margaret Sanger from an interview with Mike Wallace in 1957, quote, I think the greatest sin in the world is bringing children into the world that have disease from their parents, that have no chance in the world to be a human being practically, delinquents, prisoners, all sorts of things just marked when they're born. To me, that is the greatest sin that people can commit. Here's another one. As an advocate of birth control, I wish to take advantage of the present opportunity to point out the unbalance between the birth rate of the unfit and the fit. Admittedly, the greatest preset menace to civilization can never be rectified by the inauguration of a cradle competition between these two classes. Her whole thing was about this class mentality. That's Margaret Sanger, the eugenic value of birth control propaganda. Last one I'll go through here. Permits for parenthood shall be issued upon application by city, county, or state authorities to married couples, providing they are financially able to support the expected child, have the qualifications needed for proper rearing of the child, have no transmittable diseases, and, on the women's part, no medical indication that maternity is likely to result in death or permanent injury to health. No permit for parenthood shall be valid for more than one birth. Birth control itself, often denounced as a violation of natural law, is nothing more or less than the facilitation of processing of weeding out of the unfit, of preventing the birth of defectives or those who will become defectives. If we are to make racial progress, this development of womanhood must precede motherhood in every individual woman. It's coming from Woman in the New Race, 1920. Now, as we're hitting this break here, all of what I just went through, that was tough. It was tough to get through. It was. It was tough to hear someone from such a long time ago still have such a profoundly lingering effect for today. Maybe not her rhetoric, fine. But statistically, what is borne out has been true. It's tough to get through all this stuff and hear someone be so overtly racist. And for being overtly racist, yes, that's one thing, obviously, but the insanely dehumanizing nature of this speech of different classes of people, one, that are defects and need to be done away with as if they're a scourge or some type of virus to society. Some of you may be saying, well, wait, Mr. Henry, that's no longer the purpose of Planned Parenthood. It's about, providing much-needed health care services to millions of women that desperately need it. I mean, after all, what do they tell us? Only 3% of Planned Parenthood's total services are providing abortions? Only 3%. Okay, all right, sure. Let's go with that for a minute. Sure. Arguendo. For the sake of the argument, let's consider it right now. Let's say only 3%. Let's see how that 3% has worked out for African Americans. The official slogan of the Right to Life Michigan is as follows. This is the official slogan of the Right to Life Michigan. Quote, abortion has taken more black lives than every other cause of death combined since 1973. Abortion has taken more black lives than every other cause of death combined since 1973. More than crime, more than accidents, more than cancer, heart disease, and AIDS, all put together. Crime, accidents, cancer, heart disease, and AIDS, all put together, still didn't touch abortion. In the United States, the abortion rate for black women is almost 4 times that of white women. 4 times that of white women. On average, 900 black babies are aborted every day in the United States. This tragedy, and I absolutely agree, it's not just a tragedy, it's a eugenics project that's turned into genocide. I'm being for real about this now, you hearing me? This tragedy continues to impact the population levels of African Americans in the United States. More than 19 million black babies have been aborted since 1973 Roe v. Wade. Non-Hispanic black women have a significantly higher abortion rate, 25.1 per 1,000 women of reproductive age, than that of non-Hispanic whites, which is 6.8, or Hispanic, which is 11.2. Here's one of the most damaging figures. 36% of all abortions in the U.S. are performed on black women. However, only 6.5%. Black women only make up 6.5% of the total population, and 36% of abortions are performed on black women. 7:36, hit this break right now. Be right back with more of this.
Local news.
And Retirement Strategies Incorporated. Good morning. I'm Tanya Stout-Brown with a local news update on Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760. The body recovered from Fort Loudon Lake on Saturday has been identified. The remains were those of a man who had been missing from Knoxville. His name was Ryan Howard, and he was last seen alive on April 24th. The remains were recovered by the Blunt Special Operations Response Team. The investigation is ongoing and under the Knox County Sheriff's Office Major Crimes Unit. It was a chase that ended up waterlogged. Police say a man drove into Fountain City Lake yesterday after trying to get away from the law. 31-year-old Jackie Strong of Kodak was charged with DUI, reckless driving, and evading arrest. After the Trailblazer landed in the lake, Strong ran off on foot. Police captured him on Fair Drive. Hitting a car that's parked on the side of the interstate is never a good thing, but it's even worse when the car you hit is a police car. Knoxville police say it happened on I-275, where an officer had pulled over for another traffic accident that had happened. There were no injuries when the cruiser was hit. The driver of the car that hit it was charged with DUI and failure to drive with due care. And there is no more fire at Fort Loudon Waste and Recycling in North Knoxville. The fire department reports the flames and embers have been put out. Now you're up to date. I'm Tanya Stout-Brown on Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760. Knoxville's talk you can trust.
This is Steve Vaskard of Wealth and Retirement Strategies. I help baby boomers create a dependable retirement plan. My mission statement is to teach you the wisdom of how money works for better stewardship, to potentially have more, to give more, and to leave more. If becoming a better steward of your wealth is important to you and you need a dependable retirement plan as well, call for my video that explains all the ways I will.
Please call 69.
Hey, Facebook. Yeah, I know it's super early for abortion Margaret Sanger talk stuff, but I got a whole theme of stuff that I'm working through today. This story is gonna play into the Pew Research data, talking about how the left is leaning, which is eventually gonna play into the FISA court stuff and the FBI. What's up, Rose?
Hillary Clinton. So okay, so Clinton accepted award. Okay. 2014, then Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi accepted the Margaret Sanger Award, despite Sanger's clear support for the hideous eugenic philosophy and blah, blah, blah.
Jennifer just sent me an article on Facebook saying Hillary Clinton to receive Champion of the Century Award. I think that's the Margaret Sanger Award or something. It's such a ridiculous name.
And it's like their top award.
Right.
And Hillary Clinton said it during her acceptance of the award, and she admitted or admired Margaret Sanger in the video.
All right.
She like just praises her in it.
Cite your abortion stats. Ask Roz's boys and the Hispanic woman where abortion stats are wrong. What? My stats aren't wrong. Pulling from federally cited data. This stuff is mandatory to report. What are you talking about, Ray?
You don't
My
know what the
stats
hell you're talking about, Mr. Henry. Why are we even doing this show? Tell Ray to keep my name out of his mouth. Okay? Thanks.
I think he can hear you. I don't know.
Thanks, Ray. I'm gonna get a call here at like 2.5.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, so yeah, we'll come back in with that.
All right, sweet.
Adapt.
Keep pushing your features and benefits, but the real issue is they are not completely sure that you can help them. Work on the right end of the problem. Find out how important it is for them to have the problem fixed. If it's not all the features and benefits you have to offer, what else could convince them? It may make sense to you for them to buy your product and service, but if it doesn't make sense to them, you're not going anywhere. To learn more about what you can do to help your prospect, contact Steve Herzog at Sandler Training Herzog & Associates at www.firstinsales.sandler.com, and we'll do our best to help you.
Hi, this is John Adams again. You know, if you have any questions or concerns about the programming or what you hear here on Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760, I'm just a phone call or email away. Call me at 865-525-0620 or email me at jadams@Moffitt, MOFFIT media.com.
The views and opinions heard on the programs which air on Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760 are those of the hosts and guests of those programs and not necessarily those of the station or management. Weather from the FMT Insurance Studios of Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760.
More sunshine returns to the area to kick off the work week. Should be a great day with highs up near 80 late this afternoon. Lows tonight near 60 with a clear sky, and we're partly cloudy tomorrow. Low 80s again. Should be in the low to mid 80s with increased chance for showers and thunderstorms, especially late in the work week. Some of that could last into the upcoming weekend as well. Find great gifts and pampering spa treatments for Mom at Spa 9700. All hobo bags and accessories 20% off May 10th and 11th only. From the 6th Storm Team, I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Hinkin for the East Tennessee Weather Network.
It's 55 at Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760.
Mr. Electric of Knoxville can help you safely maintain the electrical systems in your home or business. Ask about the free home safety check. Go online now to MrElectric.com.
Traffic from the FMT Insurance Studios of Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760.
We got a problem at Edgemoor Road on the westbound side. It's going to be in the vicinity of the steam plant. They're talking about that being a wreck with injury. Tough to see from the air because there's some dense fog blanketing that whole area. Extra time inbound at Edgemoor Road. Already very busy. 2 through and around downtown. Most main arteries, most main slowdowns. Hey, Ripley's is hiring. Ripley's having a job fair on the 17th at the Newport City Park. For more information, go online. Check out Ripley's.com. I'm Pete Michael.
Real News with Mr. Henry and Roz. Live from the FMT Insurance Studios of Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760. Be a part of the show on the Crown Plaza call-in line. 865-888-TALK.
And to have an opportunity to participate in the Planned Parenthood annual meeting. I have to tell you that it was a great privilege when I was told that I would receive this award. I admire Margaret Sanger enormously. Her courage, her tenacity, her vision. Another of my great friends, Ellen Chesler, is here, who wrote a magnificent biography of Margaret Sanger called Woman of Valor. And when I think about what she did all those years ago in Brooklyn, taking on archetypes, taking on attitudes and accusations flowing from all directions, I am really in awe of her. And there are a lot of lessons that we can learn from her life and from the cause she launched and fought for and sacrificed so greatly.
All right, so that you just heard Hillary Clinton talking about this receiving the Margaret Sanger Award. And I just went through a couple of quotes from Margaret Sanger. one in particular that everyone turns to is, we don't want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. That's the letter that Margaret Sanger wrote to Dr. Clarence J. Gamble, December 10th, 1939, on page 2. She also said, I accepted an invitation to talk to a woman's branch of the Ku Klux Klan. I was escorted to the platform, was introduced, and began to speak. In the end, through simple illustrations, I believed I had accomplished my purpose. A dozen invitations to speak to similar groups were offered. That's in her own autobiography. I went through quote after quote after quote. Very, very genocidal in nature, overtly racist overtones, clear propaganda working towards eugenics. Now, I ended by saying before, look, some of you might say, okay, fine, that's no longer Planned Parenthood's purpose. What they're really there for is providing much-needed healthcare services to millions of women. Fine, I'm not trying to argue against that point. Frankly speaking, this isn't even a conversation about abortion rights or women's rights. Frankly speaking, it has nothing to do with that. What it has to do with is voluntary compliance to essentially keep a particular race lower than it should have been otherwise. I mean, I don't care. Honestly, at this point, I don't care if you think that's a controversial statement. I don't, because I have the stats to back it up. One way or another, it worked out to this end result. What is that end result? I just told you. Abortion has taken more black lives. This is the slogan of Right to Life in Michigan. Abortion has taken more black lives than every other cause of death combined since 1973. More than crime, more than accidents, more than cancer, heart disease, and AIDS put together. In the United States, the abortion rate for black women is almost 4 times that of white women. On average, 900 black babies are aborted every single day in this country. More than 19 million. I believe the stats now are upwards of 20 million now. 20 million black babies have been aborted since 1973. 36% of abortions in the United States are performed on black women, even though black women only make up about 6.5% of the total population. African Americans are no longer the nation's largest minority group. Today, Hispanics have outpaced blacks in population growth. For every 1,000 live births, non-Hispanic black women had 390 abortions. Non-Hispanic white women had 111 abortions. Consider the total current black American population. This is what it all comes down to for me, okay? In a representative republic, you are represented and represented. You get what I'm saying? In a representative republic, you are represented by the proportion of your population. Considering the total current black American population is about 42 million, the 20,350,000 black American abortions are equal to 48.45% of the total black American population. If not for abortion, the total black American population would be approximately 62 million and change, or 48% greater than what it is today. This is based on an analysis of data from the U.S. Statistical Abstract for 2013, 2015, 2015 National Vital Statistics Report, Volume 64. This analysis was done recently by Dennis Howard, president of the Movement for Better America. He's written extensively on this. I guess I'll say it this way. If Black lives matter, then the life of the human being inside the womb of that black mother matters too. We can be amazed as much as we want to about the overt irony, as much as we want to regarding this story. However, in almost any other context outside of abortion, the statistical disparity between race would be classified as a clear case of genocide. If it weren't for that aspect of voluntary compliance, because it's her body, her choice, in any other context aside from abortion, positing that aspect of voluntary compliance, they're doing it because it's their choice to do so. Without that component, any other statistical disparity given this race component would be clearly classified as genocide. What are we doing in America with this? If you don't want to take my word for it, come back with the final segment. Take community leaders in the African American community's word for it. I have 3 of them lined up right now. Be right back.
Why can't I edit this Facebook feed? Oh, what? Nah, that's a totally different thing. That's like women in general putting the onus on them.
I'm just trying to make this a racial thing today. Screw Margaret Sanger, man. Okay. Screw her hard. You know what I mean? Seriously.
She's like dead, right?
Oh, way dead. Yeah, way dead.
Okay.
She's from like the 30s, but.
Oh, okay.
Which is why it's so crazy, because that a lot of that rhetoric not just was, didn't just like fly back in the day. It was like widely accepted. It was also during a weird time where people were doing eugenics projects on everything. Like the reason why we have so many different species of dogs right now is because we were basically just eugenics was the hot issue. It was like the thing to try. It's coming back up again. You notice like the CRISPR baby stuff, like it's resurfaced again. Back in the 20s, 30s, and maybe into the 40s, they were trying on everything. We have so many species of dogs now because we were just like crossbreeding out of everything, just seeing what we could do to change species. Now, the Nazis got a better idea to just do it on human beings,
right?
But there were a lot of Americans stuck in the exact same way too. So when Sanger was saying this stuff, to a lot of people, it wasn't outrageously controversial.
Especially not teaming up with the KKK.
Right, yeah.
Cleaning your tank water heater, checking your fixtures and your
The audio is horrible, Facebook. Sorry. I gotta figure out how to make that better. Why don't you let me edit this page? Stop that! Why?
I was one of those children. I was one of the nearly 17 million kids who worry where their next meal will come from. Join me with the Safeway Foundation and the Entertainment Industry Foundation to help us end childhood hunger.
Help undo hunger for America's children. Go to hungeris.org to learn more.
What difference at this point does it make?
All right. 7:53. Welcome back to Run Loose, ladies and gentlemen. I haven't done any of the housekeeping stuff. I've been prepping all weekend long and just been going straight to stories. Crown Plaza call number, by the way, 865-888-TALK. It's 865-888-8255. I've said some fairly controversial things so far, but I hope the people that are still following along understand it is irrefutable that Margaret Sanger, at least a portion of Margaret Sanger's philosophy or worldview was either dictated by or heavily influenced by eugenics. It is irrefutable that at least a portion or some aspect of her motivation, maybe not the entirety of it, but some small aspect of her motivation for starting Planned Parenthood, specifically with the location of where she put them, was to target lower socioeconomic communities. It is irrefutable. I quoted 15 different things to you, cited where the quotes came from. It is also irrefutable, regardless of the state statistics that you look at. Once those state statistics are aggregated, for every single state that has mandatory reporting requirements, once those state statistics are aggregated to a nationwide level, it is absolutely irrefutable, the statistics that I just laid out, that abortion right now overwhelmingly affects the African American community more than any other community in this nation. Even if you don't want to take my word for the 36%, what is it, 30? Is 25% better for you? Black women make up 6.5% of this population, even if they're only 20% of the abortion rate. That's still dramatically more than 6.5%. Do you understand what I'm saying? There is a clear, irrefutable racial disparity that needs to be addressed, first of all, and accepted. Fine. You don't want to take my word for it? Let me give you some members of the African-American community, all right? Herman Cain. All right, well, I'll start a little bit Republican. We expect to hear some conservative things coming from Herman Cain. Here's Herman Cain.
When Margaret Sanger, check my history, started Planned Parenthood, the objective was to put these centers in primarily black communities so they could help kill black babies before they came into the world. You don't see that talked that much about. It's Planned Parenthood. No, it's planned genocide. And you can quote me on that.
My words, man. I feel like I'm in pretty good company when I'm hearing other African Americans later saying, no. It's not Planned Parenthood, it's planned genocide. Now, it is not my purpose today to say that is the current ongoing motivation of Planned Parenthood. What my purpose is today is, regardless of what you think the motivation for Planned Parenthood or Margaret Sanger was to start with, that is an optic conversation. That is a conversation about how strange it is, the palpable irony that is the Black Lives Matter movement pairing up with Planned Parenthood because of the way that Planned Parenthood was created. That's all that is. It's an optic. It's a political conversation. It is not a political conversation to say that you don't have to assert the motivation to see that this is affecting the African American community more than any other. All right, listen to Pastor Howard Childress
spoke on this exact topic, the alarming black abortion rate, with a pro-life leader earlier this year. Pastor Cleonard Howard Childress Jr. is senior pastor of New Calvary Baptist Church and assistant to the director at LEARN, the Life Education and Resource Network. He coined the phrase that the most dangerous place for an African American is in the womb.
Is he wrong? Is he wrong? Here's that same pastor talking to a group of high school students.
Look at it.
We're going to talk about the notorious Planned Parenthood. You're being told to go to Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood has a plan for you, especially you young ladies. Planned Parenthood is taking it far beyond what the Ku Klux Klan ever thought they could possibly take it.
Dude, if that doesn't sting you, come on, man. We got to hit this break right now. We come back and shift topics a little bit, getting into this new Pew Research data indicating that, hey, Republicans have remained fairly conservative as far as the median is concerned since 1994, while Democrats have drastically shifted to the left. And I'm wondering if a lot of the stuff going on right now is really just about the perspective of one's own vantage point and the slow, subtle push for changing the Overton window. 7:58, be right back.
Ray, I'm not following where you're coming from, man. You're not trying to argue that there's not a statistical disparity, are you? I mean, I guess what I'm asking is, are you saying that I guess I'll ask it this way. Are the 36% of abortions being done on black women, are you saying that's not accurate? Are you saying that per capita, by way of percentage, more African American women have abortions than any other race, overwhelmingly more than any other race? I'm not saying you have to agree with my stance on what the motivation is. I'm just saying it's not just unreasonable, it would be highly illogical to at least try and disagree with that statistical disparity. Again, I'm not sure the point you were trying to make there, but if it's disagreeing with the stats, then I can't back you on that one. My coverage of it, yeah, we can talk about that all day long. One way or another, though, I think everyone has to agree, more black kids are aborted by way of percentage of the representation of total population than any other race out there. I think that's a huge, huge problem, man. I think it's a humanitarian problem. I think it's a race problem. All right, Here's an interesting thing. Buddy Tim Pool, this guy's pretty good.
Because yes, apparently, recent Chicago election featured strong showing for Democratic socialists. The story from the CBC. Despite Trump's scaremongering, socialism is gaining a foothold in America. I'm going to have to agree with that. There's a graph that I showed on my main channel today, where you can see that the Democrats have moved far left. And I'll tell you what, if you've watched my content, you've probably seen 50 different graphs showing the same thing. The Republicans are not becoming far right. They're moving slightly to the right at the median. It's the Democrats that are adopting far left policies. And because the Democrats are moving so rapidly to the far left, Republicans are staying where they are. They look more conservative. In fact, why do you think it is that so many people say, quote, the left left me? It's because they're not becoming conservative. The left is drifting so far and so fast towards the far left, towards socialism, towards totalitarianism, that people are getting left behind. The way I kind of describe it, though, is that they eat their own. They push people out. Not only are they moving far left, they're telling people like me, other individuals who have always been on the left, if you don't bend the knee, we will cast you out. And now we have this. It's an analysis piece saying socialism on the rise. But we do have stories from this month. Real Clear Policy. So, Real Clear Politics. Vertical, I don't know what you'd call it. Why is socialism on the rise? Loneliness. Well, we'll get to this. Let's see what they're saying, because they claim socialism is on the rise. Caitlin Brady speaks of socialism as though it's the only rational response to 21st century America. I work full-time, I work 40 hours a week, and I qualify for food stamps, the 31-year-old said, explaining why she volunteered for the Democratic Socialists of America campaign in Chicago's municipal elections last month. Now, I think this is a problem. You should not be working 40 hours a week and be living on food stamps. But what's interesting is that you have someone who is on a socialized welfare program saying, I shouldn't be, the solution is more socialized welfare programs. I kind of feel like something's wrong there. Now look, I tend to be on the left. I lean, here, I want to make another important point too, right, in this. I'm close to a social democratic position, like the Scandinavian style government stuff. Close to it. The issue is, just because, let me try and frame it this way. Food stamps are a social welfare program. It doesn't mean I think food stamps are the right thing. I think there are programs we can do through government to improve the situation for poor people, to help reduce wealth inequality, and stabilize our country and do good things. The problem is you have a lot of surface level people who don't see beyond something like a minimum wage, which might not work. Might not work. So what goes beyond the surface level argument? Well, for a lot of people, it's we should have free food and free college. Well, hold on. That's not going to solve your problem, right? The idea is, I think the government can help solve these problems. We can allocate community funding towards solving these problems. Does that mean a minimum wage makes the most sense? It doesn't. Does it mean free college makes the most sense? It does not. It means we need to sit down and figure out what the government can do to improve these things. And it's a community solution situation, right? So I lean left on these issues. But you look at these people who, it may be that the social welfare programs are weighing people down. And we need to find a different way to solve this problem, right? Let's read on. To get food stamps in Illinois, that means Brady makes no more than $1,670 a month. She pays no income tax on that, but neither did tech behemoth Amazon pay tax on the reported $10.8 billion it made last year. The richest country in the history of the world, Brady said, and I'm not able to put a roof over my head and eat. And that is a problem. I don't know what's causing that problem because it's extremely complicated, but it is a problem. Like many toiling in the trenches of the DSA campaign, Brady is a millennial, born between the early 1980s and 2000. Theirs is the biggest generation since the baby boom, and the most likely to think the American dream, success equals prosperity, is dead. But the issue is our parents. You want to know why I think the American dream is not dead? Well, I succeeded. So people then say to me, yes, Tim, but you're the exception, not the rule. And I reject that. It's really, look, I hired someone recently to help me do some work because we're working on a project. I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to get too much into it. 19-year-old kid, dropped out of college, started a company. He's making, I'll just put it this, he charges the right amount for someone who's probably in their 30s, and he's 19. The reality is, The economy is doing really well. You can't rely on going to school and working crappy jobs. You need to develop skills. Too many people believe the American dream is taking out $100,000 in debt, going to college, and then you have your dream job.
The Knox County Sheriff's Office has released the name of the person whose body was pulled from Fort Loudon Lake over the weekend. He was Ryan Howard. Howard had been missing from Knoxville since April 24th. The Blount County Special Operations Response Team recovered the body. The remains were found in the water on Saturday morning. The investigation is being handled by the Knox County Sheriff's Office Major Crimes Unit. Have you heard about the big phone scam from Sierra Leone? It's made its way to East Tennessee. The so-called one-ring scam is a ruse to get you to dial a long-distance number and suffer extremely high charges for it. If you get a one-ring call from a long-distance number you don't know, don't call back. Block the number. And the Knoxville Fire Department says the fire at Fort Loudon Waste and Recycling in North Knoxville is out. And now you're up to date. I'm Tanya Stout-Brown on Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760. Knoxville's talk you can trust.
This is your opportunity to be a part of a premier landscaping company, Eastwood Landscaping, winner of the Best of Knoxville for landscaping. They're looking for motivated crew members with a desire to work in all facets of landscaping and lawn care. Experience operating and maintaining.
Ray, I'm still not sure where you're coming from. Same place abortion stats are coming from is the same hole where Hillary was predicted to be president of the United States twice. The abortion statistics are not opinion polls. It's coming from Department of Health and Human Services. In their report each year, quote, induced abortions through a particular time period. And I don't think Department of Health and Human Services is in the business of predicting if Hillary Clinton's going to win an election or not. Either way, the point being is that it's not a sampling of poll data from 5,000 randomly selected Americans. Did you have an abortion? Did you not have an abortion? It's reporting data mandated in particular states, not mandated in other states, but nevertheless, it's Department of Health and Human Services is obviously the main one. U.S. Census Bureau obviously is the other one.
Weather from the FMT Insurance Studios of Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760.
More sunshine returns to the area to kick off the work week. Should be a great day with highs up near 80 late this afternoon. Lows tonight near 60 with a clear sky, and we're partly cloudy tomorrow. Low 80s again. Should be in the low to mid 80s with increased chance for showers and thunderstorms, especially late in the work week. Some of that could last into the upcoming weekend as well. Find great gifts and pampering spa treatments for Mom at Spa 9700. All hobo bags and accessories, 20% off May 10th and 11th only. From the 6 Storm Team, I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Hinkin for the East Tennessee Weather Network.
It's 56 at Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760.
Mr. Electric of Knoxville is now hiring experienced electricians. Call 865-272-2749. Go online now to MrElectric.com.
Traffic from the FMT Insurance Studios of Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760.
Well, slow considerably right now. Interstate by West, Hills inbound on Pellissippi Parkway. Working to wreck on Edgemore Road near the steam plant. And one reported to be at 75 north of the 132. Also, report of a wreck on North Shore Drive. It might be in the vicinity of Edgemore Road. It should be a vicinity of Ebenezer. We'll follow on that. It's Office Furniture Outfitters with the biggest selection of new and used furniture, period. You're going to love their display room. Office Furniture Outfitters.
Spin it again. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena.
You know what, I've heard people call, and I kind of like
the era that we're in, the post-truth kind of era.
And lately there's been a lot of coverage in the real news about the growing and booming business of creating fake news.
Well, I don't know. Maybe he was watching CNN fake news. What do you think?
You are fake news.
Sir,
go ahead.
Let us return to the fight. This battle is far from over.
It's 8:10 in the morning. Welcome back to Real News. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mr. Henry. We are broadcasting live from the FMT Insurance Studios. Hey, great news. If you're looking for a good job, Eastwood Landscaping, they're voted best in landscaping. They're looking for motivated crew members willing to pay compensation of $11 to $15 per hour. Now, you can apply online at eastwoodlandscaping.com or 5547 Washington Pike, Monday through Thursday in person. 5547 Washington Pike, they do the landscaping for the palatial estate that is our FMT Insurance Studios. Crown Plaza call number 865-888-TALK.
Cut your grass.
What?
Cut your grass.
Cut your grass. I didn't know what you said. Cut your grass. Yeah, it's a true story, by the way. I was living in a house in Louisville with me and four other dudes. We were college kids. Come on, we was roommates. It's gonna be weird. Anyways, we starving college kids. We didn't have a lawnmower. No one had a lawnmower around us. It was one of those areas, right? I woke up one morning with a guy walking in my front yard with a yardstick in his hand.
What?
I wasn't upset by it. I was just perplexed. Why is this dude walking around my front yard with a yardstick in his hand? So I went out there and I asked him. I was like, "Hey, buddy, what's going on here?" He's like, "Oh, I'm measuring your grass." I said, "Why? Against some kind of neighborhood award?" He said, "No, not really. Your neighbor complains your grass is too high." And I was, "What? That's a city ordinance?" He's like, "Yeah, it can't be above a certain amount, or else you get a $500 fine from the city." And I said, "Oh, well, hey, Eastwood Landscaping, give those guys a call if you don't want."
Oh my gosh!
Another plug.
What is it?
What is what?
I'm just asking for a friend. What is the measurement?
Oh, I don't remember. In Louisville, I want to say it was. I mean, it was pretty bad. I want to say it was like 1.5 feet. I mean, it was pretty bad. Maybe it was just a foot. It was real bad. I mean, we had a jungle in our front yard. It got real bad. It looked terrible. I'll agree with that. But somebody walking around your front yard. Here's my thing, Roz. Okay, if you as a neighbor have a problem with me growing my
out
grass,
there and pretend you're in.
It bothers you.
Right.
It clearly doesn't bother me.
Can I borrow your lawnmower?
Do you have a lawnmower? I'll fill it up with gas, man. I'll clean it for you afterwards. What do you want me to do? Let's work this out with each other. Maybe that's where we are in America. All the social media stuff, by the way, is just Real News Radio. That's iTunes, Google. Eric and Facebook, by the way, sent me a message over the weekend, or rather Real News message, that it's also on maybe a couple other podcast services. Now, frankly speaking, I don't even know how that happened. I certainly didn't set it up, but I guess there's something built into SoundCloud or iTunes or Google or something. It links to other things owned by Google. Either way, Real News Radio. SoundCloud is probably the best hub right now for, if you just go to SoundCloud.com, search Real News Radio. On the right-hand side, there's a tab of everything we have, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. For today's topics, though, Facebook, just type in Real News Radio. Love interacting with the comments there. Ray says it's 12 inches here is the grass height. So it's the same thing here, I guess, huh? Now, see, here's my other thing, Rose.
Well, yours was over there.
I actually have a little bit better feeling about that if it's a neighborhood association thing as well, right? I mean, the more you localize some of these problems, the better, the less perturbed I feel about it.
Right.
Right. So if it's the city at large saying, no, we're going to come fine you $500, as opposed to a neighborhood association saying, we're going to get real mad at you, we're going to shake our finger, and you're going to be socially ostracized and embarrassed. All right. Well, yeah, I'll do something about it. That makes more. It gives me a little bit more incentive other than.
Right.
Yeah, either way. Just type in Real News Radio, Facebook search bar. Love interacting with those comments. Here's where I'm at today, okay? First hour, we just covered the insanely ironic is Black Lives Matter is now partnering with Planned Parenthood to work on some women's thing. I don't know what it is. Roz and I were just talking off air during the break. How is it that the African-American community just doesn't see the stats that I'm talking about? I mean, they can look up the same stuff I am. This stuff is reported at a federal level. Health and Human Services, Center for Disease Control. I mean, it's not a simple poll that's being taken. And I'm starting to wonder, on any given issue, what has ended up happening? How is it that we become so divided? When it used to be, and this is just a platitude that I throw out here sometimes in this program, that it used to be there used to be some commonality with a myriad of issues. Now, I always thought that was the standard case, that you didn't need to have stats to prove, but it seems like today, day and age, you absolutely have to. And I came across this new Pew Research data that was just released, and I'm starting to get this idea that it's sort of an idea of perspective, right? One's own vantage point, changing the concept of what is considered extreme on the other side of the spectrum. Now, I don't want to hide the ball too much here, and I'm looking at graphs, and it's near impossible to indicate what the picture of a graph does to illustrate a point immediately. I have some actual data sets to prove this audibly, but if you were to picture the median outlook, since 1994, Pew has been taking this same poll every single year. Since 1994, Democrats and Republicans, we're fairly close together. My hands are fairly close together here, starting with this line. Now, as you go up towards 2019, Republicans drift ever so slightly, about 3 points to the right. While at the same time, Democrats are drifting dramatically to the left, about 36 points to the left. So what ends up happening here, the standard starting point for a progressive liberal, or whatever it used to be, is now 36 points to the left of what it was in 1994, while Republicans have remained fairly consistent as far as the median is concerned. Now that alone, there is so much to talk about with just that alone. I mean, goodness gracious, I'm about to get into this Facebook conversation. I'm just going to tease this right now. I left this out there on Facebook, just pointing to two different articles about Facebook shutting down conservative voices, and pair that with Facebook now starting a cryptocurrency they say that will rival Apple Pay. I mean, think about what I just laid out here, okay? As the left is continuing, and you've heard this from Republicans. It's nice to have stats to back it up, though. You've heard from Republicans and conservative pundits that the left is getting far more progressive. Every single day they're getting more and more progressive. What does Mr. Henry say in Real News? It's like a race to the bottom of a deep dive to the bottom of the progressive cesspool. Who can one-up the other one on being more and more progressive? Well, think about it this way, too, with this Facebook story I'm going to get to around the 9 hour. Look, I posted a thing on there about Facebook shutting down conservative forces, and I posted a thing about Facebook starting cryptocurrency. And here's what I want to know for the Real News audience to think about as we cover this next story. First, I realize Facebook is not a government entity. Therefore, the First Amendment is not implicated here. The First Amendment. Constitutional precedent being what it is, Supreme Court precedent being what it is, the First Amendment is not implicated here, private companies, so on and so forth. However, I would implore everyone to walk through the following thought experiment. First, research the legal difference between a publisher and a platform. The legal difference between a publisher and a platform, including the requirements of each. Second, ask why Facebook seems to be doing things that would justify a legislator, Democrat or Republican, a Democrat or Republican legislator. Why would Facebook be doing things that would justify any legislator calling for the necessity of federal regulatory oversight? Third, ask why the scope of Facebook's potential violators has exponentially widened. It doesn't just include InfoWars now. The new terms and services and what Facebook has been open about their cracking down on, it's not just InfoWars. Now, it's possibly pertaining to even those that are posting about InfoWars. If Real News goes out there and posts something from InfoWars, our channel could potentially be taken down just for reposting it. If I even say something that is painting Alex Jones in a good light, I could be taken down just for that. The only thing that I couldn't be taken down for is excoriating Alex Jones. And fourth and finally, let this all marinate while you ponder the timing of Facebook entering the crypto market. I'm going to end that there, come back with some of these statistics to prove what I said before, that as Republicans have remained fairly consistent since 1994, Democrats have become wildly progressive. I got some stats to follow this up. 8:20, be right back.
my Facebook page right now, and I'm just going to put InfoWars with Alex Jones and a whole bunch of hearts.
Are you just going to say the word?
InfoWars with Alex Jones. Or should I tag I can't tag a page.
There's no page to tag.
Yeah.
You could just link an article from their website. See what that does.
InfoWars with Alex Jones. I can't tag a page. There's no page to tag. Yeah. Okay, let's see what happens.
I doubt they'll shut you down immediately, but...
Yeah, that's all it says. It's InfoWars with Alex Jones and Hart.
Oh, that's all you put? It's just InfoWars with Alex
Yeah.
Jones? I did this just to really try it out.
Get an article?
Yeah, go to Infowars.com. Whatever the first article is. Try and find something super controversial, but whatever the first article is, just copy and paste that into there, see what happens. I mean, you're risking getting thrown in Facebook jail, but...
Wouldn't be the first time. Facebook handled Alex Jones just right.
Is that CNN?
Huh?
That's CNN.
It's InfoWars. Oh, no, that is CNN.
Yeah, they're reporting on CNN. Yeah, it should put that one up there.
Put the CNN one?
Yeah, but
CNN, though.
But link it. It's being reported on by Infowars, right?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, link it from Infowars. It'd be interesting. It'd be a way to confuse the algorithm. It'd be like giving it a paradox, you know, because it's technically bad, or it's against Alex Jones and Infowars, but it's coming from Infowars. You'll explode Facebook. It'll be beautiful.
Facebook.
Right. I can't follow you at all, buddy.
He hasn't had his morning coffee yet.
Wait, let me just ask this right. What are the accurate statistics then? If you don't believe that per capita more African American women are getting abortions than any other race, what is it then?
Surprise. Lance Cunningham Ford. You save thousands on factory units like a loaded Flex all-wheel drive today at Lance Cunningham Ford.
Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I liked kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm gonna return the kayak.
Can we walk home?
How about a taxi?
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. By the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween.
And again, Facebook, let me clarify my position. My whole rant with the Black Lives Matter pairing up Planned Parenthood thing, that was meant to have nothing to do with the abortion conversation, really, at all. Abortion rights, women's choice, it wouldn't have to do anything with that. It was really just meant to point towards sort of the willful ignorance of particular parties in this country. And maybe not parties, but groups of individuals. Willful ignorance. And that's what I'm trying to lead into now with this Pew Research data, is something as on its face should astound people. Black Lives Matter, pairing up with Planned Parenthood, bro. It's like Planned Parenthood, man. Right? Planned Parenthood is solely responsible for a lot of y'all not existing. Let's be for real, okay? For a lot of y'all. Now, it was your choice, sure, that's fine, I get it. It wasn't about abortion or your choice, it was about the stats at the end of the day, and it was about this community either refusing to recognize or just being willfully ignorant of that simple fact. Trying to move into the Pew Research saying, I think what's happening here is they're required to start from such a far point to the left, they just don't see it.
Let me clarify one more time, too. The reason why I started with this whole Black Lives Matter, Margaret Sanger pairing up with Planned Parenthood stories is not, it wasn't meant to be a conversation about women's choice or her body, her choice, or even abortion rights. And it wasn't meant to be that. It was more meant to draw attention to the overwhelming irony. And more pointedly, to focus on the willful ignorance that certain sects of this population have when it comes to things like this. That's what I was meaning to point towards. It was just a headline that demonstrates this perfectly, absolutely perfectly. Let's be for real. All right, you have Planned Parenthood teaming up with Black Lives Matter, and at the same time, arguably, statistically, you have Planned Parenthood being responsible for a lot of deaths over here in the other community. Now, regardless of what you take for the statistical variabilities of that, it doesn't necessarily matter. The point still remains. The point being, I'm trying to give that as a way to illustrate of my question that's coming up next. What in the world has happened, man? How has no one in Black Lives Matter stopped to question, wait a minute, what? What are we doing? And I'm thinking what's this coming from is perspective of one's own vantage point, changing the concept of what it means to be extreme on the other side of the spectrum. So I just told you that since 1994, Pew has been taking the same data poll. And in 94, Republicans were right here on my right hand, Democrats were right here on my left hand. We were pretty close to each other, within about, 6-7 points of each other. Now, since 1994, Republicans have drifted slightly to the right, about 3 points or so, while Democrats have drifted dramatically to the left. And you can see sort of an exponential curve going on here. They're about 36 points away from where they were to the left since 1994. And what I'm seeing here is sort of an explanation for why Democrats or what they were, the Darth Vader liberals, as our buddy likes to call them, progressives, whatever. It doesn't matter. Pew Research here uses the term liberal quite a bit. I don't necessarily like that.
3-minute stations, 3 minutes to your next Fox News 3030.
I'm not sure if anyone heard that. I heard it. Maybe just coming through my headphones. Look, I don't like to use the word liberal. My understanding of classic liberals is totally different than the way that Pew Research uses liberal. Nevertheless, the point being is I'm trying to demonstrate that one's perspective drastically changes when the Overton window, it shifts. I use that term Overton window a lot, right? It's a term for the range of ideas tolerated in public discourse, also known as the window of discourse. The term, some people would say it comes from Joseph Overton. He claimed that an idea's political viability depends mainly on whether it falls within the range or whether it falls within this range of acceptability rather than on politicians' individual preferences. Now, according to this, to Joseph Overton, the window contains the range of policies that a politician can recommend without appearing too extreme to gain or keep public office in the current climate of political public opinion. So think about that and what I just said. Well, Barack Obama, the most extremely progressive thing, the most extreme version of Barack Obama's progressive nature was Obamacare. Dude, that is square one. Bernie Sanders isn't even progressive enough to run for this party anymore. Now, we see it demonstrated on a daily basis. It's nice to have some stats to back this up, though. All right, government aid to the needy. Over the past 6 years, the share of Democrats and Democrat-leaning independents saying the government should do more to help the needy, even if it means going deeper into debt, has risen 17 points, from 54% to 71%. I'll recap these in a second. While the views of Republicans and Republican-leaning individuals have barely changed, 25% in 1994, 24% today. The result? While there's been a consistent party gap since 1994 in government aid to the poor, the divisions have never been this large. Now, that's something we hear about all the time. The divisions in our political nature have never been this large. Constantly fighting back and forth with each other, which one of y'all has changed? And I'm here to tell you today, unfortunately, it is the left. In 2011, about twice as many Democrats as Republicans said the government should do more for the needy, 54% compared to 25%. Today, nearly 3 times as many Democrats as Republicans say this exact same thing. In 2011, 54% of Democrats, 25% Republicans. Today, 71% of Democrats, 24% of Republicans. That is a dramatic left shift on behalf of the Democrats. Virtually no change at all on behalf of Republicans. I'm working all this together. This is a whole themed show. The theme of today's show Where is the starting point for Democrat lefts? And this eventually gets into coupling with the whole Facebook shutting down conservatives. You have to think about it this way, okay? As Roseanne Barr was kicked off Twitter and fired from her job for tweeting out something about Valerie Jarrett. All right, she tweeted this out. The Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes had a baby equals VJ. She lost everything. Conversely, Sarah Young, or Zhang, some people say, the senior editor, one of the senior editors in the New York Times, tweeted out just a couple of these things. Oh, man, it's kind of sick how much I get joy out of being cruel to old white men. Dumb A-effing white people marking up the internet with their opinions like dogs peeing on fire hydrants. Are white people genetically predisposed to burn faster in the sun, thus logically being only fit to live underground like groveling goblins? And of course, the infamous hashtag cancel white people with the following retweet. Quote, white people have stopped breeding. Y'all go stink soon. This was my plan all along, okay? So Sarah Zhang is accepted on the left. Roseanne Barr gets kicked out of everything. So as things like Sarah Zhang are accepted on the left becomes more and more numb to this situation happening. As they become more numb to this situation happening, if we accepted Sarah Zhang, she's not deserving of retaliation, of any potential recourse. She's not deserving of any consequences for that matter. The Overton window shifts. What is acceptable in society shifts. Once you accept Sarah Zhang, then you deal with Jussie Smollett. And the rest just becomes cascading down from that. 8:31, be right back.
All right. So, Ray, is the argument you're making that there is no such thing as a factual data set regarding abortion? That 100% of data stats that people look into is opinion? And let's say that I'll grant you, let's even say for right now that 90% of the stats that I read, 90% of the stats that I read were opinion-based. It wasn't about the severity of the numbers, of the total numbers. It wasn't about that. It was about the statistical disparity between races. So even if you want to grant me that 10% of the numbers that I quoted are factually accurate in some capacity, the disparity still remains. I guess what I'm saying is even if you don't grant me the 19 million, let's say it's just 19,000 black kids that have been aborted, compared to whatever the proper percentage is taken in total numbers for the rest of the race population. What I'm saying is even if you're saying that a lot of it is opinion-based, if any of it is factually based, the racial disparity still remains true. That's the only point I was making, is specifically drawing to more black people per capita based upon their percentage representation in society than any other race. That, I personally think, and I think the stats prove, is absolutely irrefutable. What, are you granting the CDC? The CDC is also one of the reports on this. That was also where I was pulling my stats from. Yeah, exactly, Matt. When the Overton window shifts back to center, it won't be the true center. It'll still be shifted to the left. Yeah, exactly. Uh-oh. My controller for the Mevo camera just died. This may be bad. All right. So, Ray, let me just ask this then. Are you saying there's no way to tell, or at least no way at all to verify that based upon proportional representation in the American population, there's no way to verify that more African Americans are aborted than any other race? Again, based upon proportional representation, you're saying there's no way to verify that. Yeah, Matt, though, to your point, buddy, here's something that I've fallen upon is, and this is a great point that's made from an article called The Whisper Rooms, Moderates on Twitter Are Losing Their Voice. It's from Missouri University. They did a major study over a couple of years indicating that as social media's prominence has risen, echo chambers have become more prevalent on each side. But the echo chambers on the right that would have allowed for voices like Alex Jones to thrive, they're getting kicked off. So we are forced to remain slightly more moderate than we would have otherwise, or at least not change so far to the right as the left goes crazy. As the left is going crazy, Twitter doesn't shut down any of the extremist viewpoints of the left. And what University of Missouri makes the argument for is as the left continues to push more left, yes, the median remains farther to the left, but there's a massive swath of people in the middle that have no voice at all, because they're not welcome in this echo chamber. They don't necessarily agree with this echo chamber, which is why I think the new tactic I'm approaching is, I used to be concerned all the time about, is the left fighting a war? Do people want to fight the same war as the left? My whole perspective is no, educate, change hearts and minds. But I think we're now in the time for allowance for both. For certain people in conservative parties that are like, bro, this is a war, fight the war. Bill Maher declared war the other night. And I think to fight that crazy version of the left. And I think there's allowance for people like me to gobble up the swath in the middle that has no voice right now by approaching them through cordial, kind love, all that nonsense. (8:38). Welcome back to Real News, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to mess around with my Facebook audio here. My phone just died during the break. Whatever, we'll figure that out in a minute. All right, so here's what I was saying. Since 1994, Pew has been taking the same research, trying to give a demonstration on who's moving where. Are liberals becoming more liberal? I don't like that word. Democrats becoming more progressive? Are Republicans becoming more extremist? And obviously what the Pew research indicates is Republicans have remained fairly consistent. Now you have to think about it in this context too of what social media is currently doing. I'm pulling this from an article from the University of Missouri. It's entitled The Whisper Room. Moderates on Twitter are losing their voice. With the growing popularity of social media, Twitter has become a prominent place to voice opinions on both ends of the political spectrum with the ability to follow those who only argue one side. Voices of people who are in the middle, disinterested in politics, or use social media solely for entertainment purposes might be getting drowned out in the midst of political noise. Now, this person went on to do a research project using software that he created where it examined user networks of 3,000 random followers of well-known partisan and entertainment-oriented accounts. The data was collected over 6 months leading up to the 2016 general election, beginning shortly after Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump became the two major party nominees. Now, what this study found is that as the election drew nearer, Democrats followed more and more Democrats only. Republicans followed more and more Republicans only. And moderates did not greatly expand who they followed on either political side. Now, I'm jumping a little bit all over the place here. But what this caused me to realize, I struggle all the time with my personal friends, with doing this program, what the tactics should be, not just to comprehend this expanse that we're living in right now, but also to actively fight against it. And I've constantly wondered, I do not want to play the same war games that the left is playing with me right now. I don't want to do that.
Facebook audio should be a little bit better now. I don't want to play the same war games that the left is playing. I think there's still a portion of people that can be saved by just reintroducing logic. What this University of Missouri article is talking about is as the left has become more and more progressively left, statistically backed up by Pew Research data, there's a major swath of people in the middle that they no longer have a voice. So here's my pitch now. Boss, can I get this computer going? Listen to Bill Maher, all right? I was willing to hold off for a little bit to advocate that, hey, look, if some people listen to this program, my buddy Sean included, saying, no, we are at war right now, an intellectual battle. And it needs to be fought against. And I thought that the perspectives were mutually exclusive. It had to be one or the other. You had to either approach people in love and kindness through a cordial dialogue and intellectually convince them they're wrong. By pointing out to them the problem. I'm not trying to prove to you that I'm not a Nazi. That's where I think we've been wrong. I'm not trying to prove to you that Trump's the best guy in the world. What I need to do is prove to you how your starting point has become skewed. Your Overton window has shifted so dramatically you can't see it properly anymore. We once used to. And then I came across Bill Maher over the weekend here. Listen to Bill Maher.
See, this is the problem when the guy who is supposed to be enforcing the law is the guy who is breaking the law. The Justice Department had a deadline this week to provide the unredacted version of the Mueller report. They just blew it off. Because this is called owning the libs. This is all they care about. The lamer the excuse, the better, because the more we're owned. Oh, the lame excuse. They said they couldn't.
The more we're owned. Bill Maher went on to say, we got owned. We were owned. This is Bill Maher declaring war. This is Bill Maher and the left declaring war. When they start to use the Solinsky tactics of claiming that the other side is doing exactly what they're doing, this is sort of a subtle call for, yes, we are at war. Now, I'm not talking a full-on physical revolt. I'm not talking about that. What I am saying, though, is this type of rhetoric back and forth makes sense when you compare with that Strauss Hall generational theory I was going through. We are in what they would say is the fourth wave of that coming through. Bill Maher just claimed that what Republicans are doing is only concerned. Jordan Peterson, this is the main thing he's been pushing. There's something inherent within the human psyche, something innate within us that needs to see that the rest of the world is playing the same game by the same rules that we are. Now, if we lose based upon all using the same rules, that's fine. You admit defeat graciously. But what has become severely frustrating for most Republicans right now, they recognize and know that Democrats are not worried about playing that same game. Dude, when you're flipping cars and burning stores because Ben Shapiro is showing up and you're calling him a Nazi, you're calling an Orthodox Orthodox Jew a Nazi. You have given up on dialogue. So back to the point that what the University of Missouri is talking about. As the left progressively gets more left, the right stay in the middle. This huge swath of moderates that are desperate for conversation, desperate to have a voice, desperate to be heard, desperate to be recognized, acknowledged. I think both tactics can work now. When Bill Maher, and I was just waiting for somebody to come out and actually declare war. Look, we've been at battle for a very, very long time. Much like America hasn't declared war since World War II, though. This is what's going on. Bill Maher has now just claimed that the right is doing what the left has been doing for several decades. So I think both tactics can work for those of you in the Real News audience that are saying, no, don't you budge an inch. Don't you give up an inch. Do not acquiesce. Do not give any consideration. For those of you that are listening, hold these people in account. Check these people. Intellectually belittle these people if you have to. That median shift, the 36-point differential, that median shift that has become wildly progressive right now, those folks need to know we cannot afford to allow that to go any more to the left than it already has. Because Matt just told me on Facebook what's going to happen when this inevitably comes back to what they will call center, moderate center. The Overton window of the outside right version of that Overton window will be so much further to the left of what was previously accepted as moderate. It will look moderate in retrospect. You follow me? It will look moderate in retrospect to what we just left. In actuality, it will still be far more left than they were in 1994. So for those of you that recognize what's going on, for those of you that realize some progressives or Democrats or whatever you want to call them are not playing by the same rules, hold them to account. Conversely, for those that would follow my mentality, that want to approach this wide swath of people in the middle that are being kicked out of their own party. Their own party has left them. They're quite literally being excommunicated. There is no such thing as a pro-life Democrat anymore. So says Tom Perez. For those people, I believe those people are desperate to find a voice. They want a sense of meaning in their lives. They want to be acknowledged that they are meaningful. Their existence is meaningful. Those people, there is no such thing as a walk-away movement on the right. It's not there. There is a walk-away movement on the left. The people that are walking away are trying to find something to walk into. So for those of you that feel the charge that enough is enough, I'm done playing these games with people, hold them accountable. For those of you that agree with me that there are some people that can be saved, there's more Ricks than there are Mortys out there if you want to, that we can have a cordial, calm dialogue and approach people in love, that's how we win them over. That's how we win them over. Let me get into some stats on the way out. Government aid to the needy. To demonstrate what I'm talking about, the massive left push. Here's the result. Where there's been a consistent party gap since 1994 on government aid to the poor, the divisions have never been this large. In 2011, about twice as many Democrats as Republicans said the government should do more for the needy, 54% to 25%. Nearly 3 times as many today. Democrats and Republicans say 71% versus 24%. Government aid to the poor. Here's a different thing. The United States has dramatically increased federal spending fighting poverty over the last 50 years. Total welfare costs have risen from $1,400 a person in poverty in 1967 to $18,000 a person in 2017. Most of the welfare programs were created over the past 50 years, and all of them expand their scope and reach over this time frame. Yet despite increasing in spending, the poverty level has remained fairly consistent between 12 and 15% of the population. We've spent more and more money, but have not lessened the number of people in poverty. The U.S. welfare system, in effect, is ineffective at reducing poverty by its very design. Individual programs were created over a 50-year period with little coordination or master plan involved. The combined benefits of the bifurcated system discourage both work and marriage, which exacerbates the poverty problem. Yet, despite this factually accurate assessment of the problem and the federal government's failure to solve this problem, Democrats continue to move further left, promoting even more extreme versions of the policies that are currently failing us. Here's one more time what I'm saying. For those that agree with my perspective, understand the pity you must take on some of these people. They don't know any better. It is their version of a starting point right now. The Overton window of acceptability has been shifted so far, they think this is normal. Work with those people. The people that are genuinely confused or just ill-informed, work with those people in love and kindness, and be patient with those people. They will eventually figure out they're wrong. Otherwise, they're going to be eaten by their own. However, for those people that know it's wrong and are continuing to push it in spite of it, but are willfully misleading others, for those of you that want to take that charge, man, fight against that. Let's go to immigration, all right? Nearly 2/3 of Americans, 65%, say immigrants strengthen the country because of their hard work and talents. Just 26% say immigrants are a burden because they take our jobs, housing, and health care. View of immigrants, though, little change from a year ago, are more positive than at any point in the past. As with the views of racial discrimination, there's been a major shift in Democrats' opinions about immigrants. The share of Democrats who say immigrants strengthen the country has increased from 32% in 1994 to 84% today. By contrast, Republicans are divided in attitudes about immigrants. 42% say they strengthen the country, while 44% see them as a burden. In 1994, 30% of Republicans said immigrants strengthen the country. 64% said they are a burden. Now, what does that mean? Listen to these stats again. I'll repeat them after the break. The share of Democrats who say immigrants strengthen the country has increased from 32% in 1994 to 84% today. The share of Republicans who say immigrants strengthen the country has increased from 30% in 1994 to 42% today. Each increased, one dramatically more than the other. Lastly, and by far most importantly, focus on how close Democrats and Republicans used to be on this very issue. In 1994, 30 and 32% respectively, just a few decades ago. So when I say there's several things that we all used to agree upon, 1, I'm not lying. 2, Democrats know this. And 3, it's the Democrats that have changed this perspective. 8:50, be right back.
at 865-888-1692. A quality lawn at a reasonable rate. Double J's Landscaping.
Hey folks, Dave Ramsey here. When you're working hard to beat debt, a great way to save some money on your monthly energy bills is to replace those drafty old windows. Go see my friends at Window World of Knoxville, America's largest replacement window and home remodeling company. Local owners Mark and Claudia will take great care of you. They offer double-hung white vinyl windows. These windows receive the Good Housekeeping seal of approval, and they come with a lifetime warranty.
Hey. Are you still talking about racism and all that?
Yeah, it's all interrelated. Sure.
Okay. I'm play that one song.
Okay.
That's super controversial.
All right.
Okay.
Today for a free estimate. 865-938-0314. Located on Old Callahan Road or at windowworld.com. Window World supports the Veterans Airlift Command. Simply the best for less. windowworld.com.
Here's a news flash from Dayton Hilton of Dayton's Pest Control.
Bedbugs have moved into this area, but don't worry, Dayton's is ready to help.
I hear that Dayton's is one of 2 bedbug-free trained companies in the state.
We are.
Dayton, please explain what your bedbug treatment entails.
Well, first, don't throw your bed, mattress, box springs, or couch away. And we don't require any prep to your house prior to arrival.
If you suspect you have bedbugs, call Dayton's at 588-6686 for an inspection and estimate. Dayton's reputation is your guarantee of quality.
Mr. Electric of Knoxville can help you safely maintain the electrical systems in your home or business. Ask about the free home safety check. Go online now to MrElectric.com.
Traffic from the FMT Insurance Studios of Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760.
Well, they're working a multi-vehicle wreck on I-40 westbound near Paper Mill Road. They had the left lane blocked, so moving to the center. Right lanes to get by, but there's a big backup from Paper Mill back through downtown, off of 275 and off of 640. Also, they were working a wreck. It's to the side, but an extra slowdown at Palisade Parkway northbound off at Kingston Pike. Blunt Excavating, looking for highly experienced Trackco and finish dozer operators. Incredible benefits at bluntexcavating.com.
From the FMT Insurance Studios of Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760, this is Real News. Join the show on the Crown Plaza call-in line.
865-888.
Welcome back to Real News, ladies and gentlemen. Very interesting little rap battle there, I think went viral on YouTube. Hey, one quick thing I want to say before I get to Ray's call here. Look, the point of me bringing up these stats, comparing government aid to the needy, immigration, I have stuff on racial discrimination, acceptability of homosexual marriage, peace through strength. There's a bunch. There's 11 questions they asked. I'm not focusing necessarily on these statistical support one way or another. I'm not. I'm focusing on the increase or decrease from 1994 in any one of these given issues. It doesn't matter what the issue is. You can just tell me any random 12 issues. It doesn't matter. The way that they dramatically shift from one side to the other. I was going to go to Ray. She's talking right now. Roz right now. That's what I'm focusing on. It's not specifically, actually, just tell him I'll get him after the going into 9. That'll probably work better. I'll let him go on stuff, yeah? Yeah? All right, so we just talked about immigration. In 1994, Democrats said 30% polled say that immigrants strengthen the country. In 1994, 32% of Republicans said the same thing. Today, 84% of Democrats say that, 42% of Republicans say. A rise in both, one much more dramatic than the other. Get this, all right? For the first time, a majority of Republicans, 54%, favor acceptance of homosexuality. Just 38% did in 1994. Yet over this period, the increase in share of Democrats saying homosexuality should be accepted has been much larger, 54% to 83%. As a result, partisan differences have gotten larger. You following where I'm going? Peace through strength. About 6 in 10 Americans, 61% say good diplomacy is the best way to ensure peace, while 30% say peace is ensured by military strength. Opinions in both parties have changed since 1990s. Democrats increasingly say peace is ensured by good diplomacy, while Republicans say it is military strength that ensures peace. Today, 83% of Democrats say good diplomacy is the way to ensure, compared to 33% of Republicans. Racial discrimination. In recent years, Democrat views on racial discrimination have also changed, driving an overall shift in public opinion. Currently, 41% of Americans say racial discrimination is the main reason blacks cannot get ahead. The largest share expressing the view in surveys dating back 23 years. Still, somewhat more Americans, 49%, say blacks who cannot get ahead are mostly responsible for their own condition. Here's how it breaks down. When the racial discrimination question was first asked in 1994, the partisan difference was 13 points. When this question was first asked in 94, the partisan difference was 13 points. By 2009, it was only somewhat larger by 19 points. Today, the gap in opinions between Republicans and Democrats about racial discrimination and black advancement has increased 50 points. 50 points. I don't know. I mean, look, there are some stats to back up that there are more reported hate crimes, that there's been a rise in reported hate crimes over the last 3 years. There are some stats to back some of this up. But I don't know what I'm supposed to think from this. Am I supposed to take that America's more racist today than it was in 1994? That we're becoming exponentially more racist with each day? I mean, I don't know. I'm actually asking with that. Is that the pitch? Is that what you feel in your daily lives? Everyone in this poll on the left would say absolutely yes, which therefore makes me the racist. The bottom line across this, 10 measures the Pew Research has tracked, the same survey since 1994. The average partisan gap has increased from 15 percentage point to 36 points. One last very interesting point regarding to Recode Knoxville here as we get into 9 o'clock hour. Listen to this one. A poll taken on big house, small house. Recode Knoxville people, listen up. Our studies of political polarization and partisan antipathy both found that the disagreements between Republicans and Democrats go far beyond political values and issues. They also have markedly different preferences about where they would like to live. Most Republicans, 65%, say they would rather live in a community where houses are larger and farther apart, where schools and shopping are not nearby. A majority of Democrats, 61%, prefer smaller houses within walking distance of schools and shopping. Funny little Recode Knoxville relevant thing I found there at the end. Hey, hit this break, come back, getting into the rest of this Facebook coverage, and then deep dive into FISA if you want to. Be right back.
Another point of view, we find a lot of solid. So, looking at things from one point of view, we find a lot of emptiness. Looking at them from another point of view, we find a lot of solid. But what you have to realize is that the solid is based on the emptiness just as much as the emptiness is based on the solid. So don't be afraid of nothing. It can't bite you. So, it's only something that can bite you. There's nothing to be afraid of in nothing. But what you have to realize is that the solid is based on the emptiness just as much as the emptiness is based on the solid. So don't be afraid of nothing. It can't bite you. And yet, mysteriously, nothing is the source of something. It's like the womb and the seed. So, yang and yin go together. But through our things, and the whole of our life is, as I said, geared to the thought that we might be able to make the yang side win. And so, in every sort of human enterprise, we are trying to have white without black. When you talk about improving the world, you are meaning presumably that you want it more white than black, or whichever one you call the good one. Maybe you think the black is the good. That's all right, it makes the slightest difference. You know, which side are you going to take in the game of chess, the black or the white? Doesn't make much difference except white gets first move. No, I'll always wait to see what you're going to do. We think, could we get rid of the other one? Now, as you know, in all matters of practical living, it never works. You think now, I've been miserable all this time because I haven't had enough money. I never know whether I can make the payments on the car. I never know whether, there's going to be sickness. And if only I had a little more money, I'd really feel great. So you get it. And in the transition from one stage to the other, whoops, you feel very elated. Of course, you feel elated. You're going up $5,000 a year, say. It makes a difference. When you've gone up, then of course you're on a level again. And no longer do you have to worry about making the payments. But you get a new worry. Supposing I get sick and die of it. Supposing someone robs me, takes it away from me. Worry about that. You say, oh, I'd feel so much happier if I had a medical examination. As you go to a fancy doctor. He says, I can't find anything wrong with you. Then always there might be burglars, so you get an alarm system and new locks, and finally you go to the Homes Patrol and get a private guard to watch you, and that makes you feel better for a while, except then it begins to nag you. Gee, if I have that Homes Patrol man out there, they'll know I've got something. Maybe I better have two men on the job. So it grows. You worry. Because you found out that you didn't get yang without yin. You got a new yang, a bigger yang, instead of the former little one you have, but you got a big yin with it. It's no joke getting rich. It implies a great deal of responsibility, and you've got more to worry about. Don't envy rich people. It's a great mistake. Don't envy anyone. So, in the same way, Zhuangzi puts it thus, he's Lao Tzu's successor. People who speak of having good government without its correlative, misrule, or right without its correlative, wrong, do not understand the basic principles of the universe. One might just as well speak of having yang without yin, and such people must be either knaves or fools. Of course, how will we know we were wise unless there were knaves and fools? But here it is, you see. You cannot beat the game. You can have the temporary illusion of winning. But by compensation, you will ever so often have the temporary illusion of losing. When you go down a step, from yang to yin, you'll feel, I've lost something. When you go up a step from yin to yang, you'll feel, I've gained something. How would you know gain without loss? How could you have the sensation of more, and less in relation to the sensation less? For sensation is simply awareness of contrast. That's what life is. Now, if we realize that, we get the same feeling of frustration as I wanted to give you this afternoon. in trying to make it clear that so far as the improvement of ourselves and of the world is concerned, there's absolutely nothing we can do about it. And this is simply another way of saying the same thing. You cannot have more yang than yin. Now, if we realize that, we get the same feeling of frustration as I wanted to give you this argument.
I probably stopped that at a terrible time. Sorry.
As three men you are. What will you do without freedom? Proclaim liberty throughout all the land. In one voice, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. You gotta fight for your right. Can you dig it?
Hey, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Real News. It is 9:08 in the morning. We are broadcasting live from the F&T Insurance Studios. I'm your host. My name is Mr. Henry. Beautiful Roz back there pushing the buttons, running the boards, answering your phone calls in the Crown Plaza call number at 865-888-TALK. That's 865-888-8255, Crown Plaza call number. If you just joined us here in the 9 o'clock hour, we started today, the first hour, talking about the headline indicating that Black Lives Matter is now paired with Planned Parenthood for some women's organization 2020, I don't know, whatever. It wasn't meant to be a conversation necessarily about abortion or women's right to choose. It was more importantly meant to be a conversation of willful ignorance. The willful ignorance of participants of Black Lives Matter either refusing to recognize or not understanding the percentage of African-American abortions that take place in this country. Refusing to recognize that, hey man, Margaret Sanger was Margaret Sanger. Moving that into the Pew Research data indicating that, hey, while the right has remained fairly consistent, not in every single question, but overall, in the aggregate sense, fairly consistent. We moved a couple points to the right since 1994. Democrats have moved wildly to the left. And I appreciate the Real News audience sticking with me, the crawlers right now hanging on, Ray and JB, I'll get to you in just a second. You can clearly tell that I'm working through my own analysis as I'm doing this on air. It's a deep, deep topic. It's difficult to parse. The overall point I think that data indicates to me is that the reason why every single Trump voter is labeled as an alt-right fascist to the progressive left is not because conservatives have changed their political worldview. It's because the median starting point of an acceptable political worldview for liberals has moved further and faster to the left than it ever has before. I'm starting to wonder, honestly, if this is either an intended or unintended outcome of big tech's anti-conservative campaign. And understand what we're talking about is the shifting of the Overton window, a term for the range of ideas that are tolerated in public discourse, also known as a window of discourse. The individual that created this claimed that an idea's political viability depends mainly on whether it falls within this range, rather than on politicians' individual preferences. So you have to think, as more and more becomes accepted, it's like that old adage that if you put a frog into a pot of boiling water that's already boiling, it's going to immediately jump out. If, however, you put it into room temperature water and slowly turn up the temperature, it'll stay there until it dies. This is what I believe is happening to the left. Here's an example. And I bring this example up as Facebook and Twitter refuse to censor anyone espousing progressive ideals, regardless of how controversial those ideals are. Democrats become numb to what is considered acceptable. Thus, the median Overton window moves further to the left for the left. Example. This is one of many. Roseanne Barr is fired for the following tweet about Valerie Jarrett. Quote, if the Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes had a baby, it equals VJ. Yeah, horribly offensive. Terrible. I agree. Should she have been kicked off or not? I don't know, man. It's a totally different conversation. Some might say yes, some might say no. It's a private corporation. I don't care what they did. I never watched Roseanne anyways. Fine. Conversely, though, as long as we're comparing apples to apples, Sarah Jeong, senior editor at New York Times, these are following tweets from her. Oh, man, it's kind of sick how much joy I get out of being cruel to old white men. Dumb A-effing white people marking up the internet with their opinions like dog peeing on fire hydrants. Are white people genetically predisposed to burn faster in the sun, thus logically being only fit to live underground like groveling goblins? And of course, the infamous hashtag cancel white people with the following retweet. Quote, white people have stopped breeding. Y'all all go extinct soon. That was my plan all along. Now, while Barr was removed from social media and fired from her job, nothing happened to Sarah Zhang, thereby leaving most on the left with the presumption, not the assumption. An assumption based on some logic rationale would be a presumption. It left most on the left with the presumption that what she said was okay, what she said was acceptable, and not worthy of consequence or reaction. And when this happens, the Overton window shifts a little more to the left each time. In Zach Buchamp's defense of Zhang, in Vox, he's a writer for Vox, he offers a frustratingly twisted explanation that Zhang uses of white people, that it must be read as part of the specialized preference towards the social justice left. And that it doesn't mean white people, but rather shorthand for the cluelessness of white people about their own white privilege. Now, I am at a loss understanding Buchamp's point here, as the noun forms don't even match up. But the point here is that the conservative attacks are simple in their outrage. One tweet simply switches white with black and asks why it's suddenly unacceptable, whereas the liberal they become shifted so far to the left, the further left you become, the more extreme the right seems, even though we haven't changed at all. Think about what happened to the Jussie Smollett situation. In this particular context, what once would have caused outrage across all demographics, in this case, someone in a place of power, clearly committing a crime, using that power to exploit the system and avoid consequences of that crime. That situation would have, at one point, outraged all demographics, certainly almost 100% of the left. Now, that situation only outrages half of us. The left was forced to ignore a clear demonstration of how the legal system always works out well for those with wealth and influence. An issue that they were once united by, but now it must be accepted as long as certain parameters and prerequisites are met. Are you following along with me? Last thing, partisan antipathy remains extensive. The shares of Republicans and Democrats who express very unfavorable opinions of the opposing party have increased dramatically since the 90s, but have changed little in recent years. Currently, 44% of Democrats and Democrat leaners have a very unfavorable opinion of the GOP, based on yearly averages of this Pew Research data. 45% of Republicans have the same opinion of Democrats. However, in 1994, fewer than 20% in both parties views the opposing party unfavorably. So since 94, we went from 20% to 45% on each side. Begs the question, who's really changing? I wonder if we're truly at war. If we've just told ourselves so many times that we are at war, that we might as well be at war. I guess I'm wondering if there's still a chance to take pity on any of these progressives and convince them that what they perceive as war is really a shepherd herding a lost sheep back to greener pastures that once sustained us all. I wonder if there's still a chance out there for genuine dialogue. And I'm wondering if the only way to have that opportunity again is to call upon some of my own brothers and sisters to hold these wild left that are actually propagating, orchestrating this attempt to move the Overton window, for y'all to hold them accountable. Maybe I'm not that guy. Maybe I see the best in people too much. There's a place for me, but there's a place for y'all. Not taking up too much time here. Ray, let's go to you. He's been hanging on the long split to JBF this break. Ray, what's on your mind, buddy?
Good morning, Mr. Henry. Hey, this Overton window about abortion, it's as manipulable as the lawn in the front of your house. It's when we get to this point where we're trying to dissect why a baby needs to be aborted, those data sets are removed. And that makes your Overton window pretty much useless, because what I see with the Black Lives Matter and with Planned Parenthood, it's not a matter of life or death, Mr. Henry. This is about a matter of the vote. And if they get the Black Lives Matter over to Planned Parenthood, you're going to have more people voting Democrat.
Oh, yeah, undoubtedly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Yeah, so looking at it in that window, removing all the data sets, I agree with you 100% that this political move, using a sensitive topic like this, you think it would get more airtime. And
yeah, you understand where I'm coming from, though. The point of me bringing that up was never to necessarily to argue against the tactic. I think the strategy is brilliant, and it's brilliant because it's so effective, right? I mean, it is brilliant because it's working. Also, clearly they partnered together, can form a whole organization. They're partnering with one of the main Facebook campaigns that was trying to get Hillary elected. Man, it's just this whole Me Too, couch everything in women's rights, whatever else. Now, it's also oddly, inherently ironic that. Partnering for women's rights is actually destroying women's rights. But let me ask this, though. You would, I suppose, most people would have to agree with me. Would you agree with me that at least the data sets that we have been given, it is undeniable that as far as representation for African Americans, as far as the proportion of the percentage of population they make up, they are overwhelmingly more African American abortions than any other race?
No, I don't take that data set as valid because it's too vague. If we were to remove out of the black and white numbers what were medical necessities, I'd like to have that data set because I would lay my paycheck this week on that. When we remove medical necessity and the race of people aborting perfectly healthy babies would be the white race.
Yeah, but medical necessities, health of the mother, rape, and incest only account for less than 1% of abortions. So even if you're dealing with 99%...
Once again, that data set, Mr. Henry, is obscured because we don't have why the patient showed up. We don't have where the abortion was performed. Was it performed in the hospital or was it performed in a clinic?
Extrapolate it a little bit then. Let's say that it's not 1%. Let's say given some statistical variability or let's say it is skewed. Let's say it would be more comfortable to say that 10% are done for health of the mother's rape and incest. Even if that's a more comfortable perspective to say. Even if it's 20%, the point being is you still would have 80% done. 80% that would still match up. Even I'll put it this way, man. It's the same thing I said to you in Facebook. Even if it's not 19 million, it's not the number of. It's not due to the severity of the total number. It's the percentage of those numbers. If I didn't say 19 million black babies have been aborted, if it was 19,000, the percentage of black babies compared to the percentage per population per capita to other races, that percentage, that statistical disparity would still remain true, regardless of the overall number, regardless of if it's 1% for health or anything else. That the variability between African Americans and other races doing it, it doesn't matter what the overall number is.
Well, it does to me because taking a number from force to me is no way to judge somebody's life or death. I would have to have it all the way back to the original doctor's reports of why this patient showed up in his office. I can't take third party and then make a decision with somebody's life or death with that. And that's why I have a large problem with the death penalty. There is not enough said in a courtroom for me to put somebody to death, and it's just not there. The data sets, if we let them out, we're going to be opening up a bag that is going to be used politically. Oh, you got freckles. Oh, you've got a mole. Oh, your hair is a color we don't like. And they're going to go into there, and they're going to start politically dividing us that way.
Well, it's a dangerous paradigm that we enter, though, when we don't have a willingness to accept any potential data set. Mine particularly coming from the CDC and Health and Human Services. I mean, I'm not sure if they have any potential political motivation involved in what reporting they're going to. But again, there has to be some data set that's acceptable to have a factual conversation about anything. Otherwise, it's entirely reliant upon anecdotal evidence, which for me, and in the realm of logical conversation, anecdotal evidence is not admissible.
But what does a wrong data set do to your conclusion?
But it would still be a question of how wrong is that data set. Even if my data set is outrageously wrong, the point still holds true.
That black people are being targeted for abortion? I disagree.
Not necessarily targeted. Now, that is a part of the point I was trying to make, but not necessarily targeted. All I'm saying is take the motivation out of it, whether they're being targeted or not. The simple fact is, regardless of them being targeted, the stats are what they are. It is working out to be that way.
But they're not proven. They're all hypothetical. Every last one of them is hypothetical because it's done with a third party. You're missing dates. You're missing names. You're missing race. You're missing location. You're missing diagnosis. You're missing prognosis. All we get is illness or done in a clinic person's choice. That's all we get from the data. It's a horrible way to go around making political decisions on wrong data sets, third-party data sets. Look what happened to Hillary with her third-party data sets for 2 campaigns.
Right.
Cool.
Right, and that's where the only thing I would push back on that, and then we got to hit this break, man, is just that when we're certain states would mandate accurate reporting of abortion. Now, certain states don't, but even those that would do, once you aggregate those in its total, it's not a poll that's being taken. It's an aggregate of people that have actually been reported on by way of location, by way of diagnosis, by way of the procedure that was actually performed. But we got to hit this break, man. I'll give you the last 30 seconds though.
Yeah, I do not believe the state has access to that information. I believe it's the doctor and the feds. And to have this information collected by the state, it would be already let loose. We already know real numbers because it's our state and we want to know. That's why the CDC created HIPAA, so we don't know.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, HIPAA maybe report on the statistical data without actually releasing pertinent information to the details of that person, name, social security number, location of their personal address, things like that. But either way, Ray, I appreciate the call, buddy. As always, we'll talk to you soon.
Great show, Mr. Henry. Bye.
Thank you, buddy. There goes Ray, 922. Definitely late on this one. Come back with JB. Social security number, location of their personal address, things like that. But either way, Ray, I appreciate the call, buddy. As always, we'll talk to you soon.
Great show, Mr. Henry. Bye.
Thank you, buddy. There goes Ray, 922. Definitely late on this one. Come back with JB. Shoot, has that audio been popping the whole time, y'all, or is it just recently?
Provider in the U.S. Vivint will make your home safer and more secure with a state-of-the-art system that's so simple to use. Vivint Smart Home Specialists provide award-winning monitoring of your system 24/7, 365 to respond to any emergency, even when you can't. And with the 4.5-star rated Vivint Smart Home mobile app, control your entire house from anywhere. Locks, cameras, security system, all at your fingertips on your mobile device. Call Vivint now and get a free quote, professional installation, and full smart home service for as little as $2 per day. Equipment purchase or service agreement required. Conditions apply. Call now. A smart home is a safer home. So protect your family and your property, home or business, with a Vivint smart home system.
Call 800-749-7695. 800-749-7695. That's 800-749-7695. 800-749-7695.
The Markley and Van Camp Show. This isn't any sort of sexual assault. It's just he got handsy, like rubbing shoulders.
Very affectionate is what they say.
As far as I know to this point, it was not touching anywhere like inappropriate, like a certain region.
Not that I've seen, no.
It's not like on the butt, like a Franken sort of thing.
Well, there was one where it was like the lower back, I think, and one on the thigh maybe, but it wasn't like getting fresh.
The Markley and Van Camp Show.
Weekday afternoons at noon on Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760.
TN Connect Credit Union, helping you stay connected to your money, to your financial goals, to your plans for the future. TN Connect Credit Union is the oldest credit union in Tennessee, and they still hold tightly to the same credit union community values and financial responsibility that they always have. TN Connect Credit Union still connects you with free checking accounts with rewards, emergency fund high-yield savings accounts, and TN Connect Credit Union connects you to the best in modern convenience with comprehensive digital and mobile services. TN Connect Credit Union, connecting you to your new car, a new home, saving for college, saving for retirement, connecting you with financial solutions with local hometown personal service that's safe, secure, and federally insured. TN Connect Credit Union is located at 6211 Middlebrook Pike in Knoxville. Online at tnconnectcu.org or connect by phone at 865-688-2424. Keeping you connected to your money. TN Connect Credit Union.
Hey, Facebook, let me know if it's still clipping during this next thing. I'll have to keep Facebook up here. This iRig thing is just messing with me. It sounds like it's hot still on my end, but if it's getting that static popping sound, let me know. I'll mess around with some more stuff.
welcome back, everyone. It's 9:26. I know not everyone likes One Direction, but I don't mind that song. You know what I mean? Not One Direction, that dude from One Direction. Is that Harry Styles? It's all right. Not bad. Not bad. Yeah.
I didn't even know he was from One Direction.
Oh, yeah. He's the Direction.
So what? He was like the lead singer or something?
Essentially, yeah. He's the one that
Or
people.
was he the hot one that broke away?
I don't know.
Oh, you know, Grant. You know.
Let's go to JB. I might see if Ross can push this further into the 30 break here. JB's been hanging on. JB, what's on your mind, sir?
Well, Ray Gunn was on fire today. Ray was on fire Saturday. He called into the shows on Saturday, including the new IPR show.
Yeah, I heard that little exchange.
Woodman said the babble of people, the sound of freedom. People having strong opinions and having them expressed something was, for a long time, not heard in this valley.
I will say Victor handled it perfectly, I thought. Absolutely perfectly.
Let me say this about that. The problem about clean data. Now, I worked in federal grants at UT, and getting clean data these days is a bigger problem than you would imagine. That because the data has been so politicized and twisted and tortured. And Robert Laughlin, Nobel Prize winner from Stanford, wrote a book called The Crime of Reason and talked about sequestration of knowledge and how in this time of all this information, how do you know you're getting good information? And it's a very serious question that Ray brought up, but let's move on to another topic here. Good show, by the way. Passionate, powerful. Passionate and powerful, I think. But Ray's points are valid, too, about do you believe the data? Is it good? Is it good, clean data? If good, clean data, you have a clean process and a clean product and a good result. Now, let's transfer to another subject called Recode. Because a lot of things happened over the weekend. By the way, did you happen to see Hunley's article in Knox Focus?
I didn't see Hunley's article, but I don't know if this is related at all or not. I did get a chance to catch that quick segment where Mayor O'Hara on Sunday Talk Show.
Let's go to Hunley first.
All right.
Go to Hunley first. Hunley wrote another article, and very good about it. And let me say also an ancillary point. One of the problems in the Valley, and I love the Tennessee Valley, it's a lovely place, is that the media, channel stations, TV stations 6, 8, and 10, the News Sentinel, and the other forms, the WOKI, the sort of so-called leaders, have been very quiet. They're very often quiet about big issues. It's almost like certain issues they talk about, but many issues they sort of ignore. And I believe that a big PR firm has told them, hey, works for the city, say, just quiet down, don't cover this, because we'll give you information, but you need to just play this down. If we got this, don't worry about it, don't cover it. But this other media has emerged, and I love the Valley. And in the Valley, we now have, in place of the radio station that won't cover, we have video clips and audio clips being supplied by citizens, like the clip you're going to talk about. We have Hunley, and the focus has really moved into a zone. We have Della Volpe and Knox 10. We have other people. We have the Facebook and social media. My wife's cat's giving a contra over here, but anyway, but all that going on. So we've created a new media. You've created a new media, and it's taken the place of the old corrupt media, which can be shut up by a PR firm. So I'm going to call that the Tennessee Valley Freedom Media. So you're a part of that now. So good, and IPR is a part of that too. Now Hunley's article talks a lot about last Friday or last Wednesday. We had this draft 5 release of this metastasized monstrosity, 425 pages and all that going on. And then we got this notion that we're going to have this. City's going to vote on the 14th and all that. Well, Hunley sort of covers the whole thing and talks about the problems with it. And by the way, he also in his article he talks about the fact that Victor and Kelvin Moxley were on your show.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. You got. He talks. He says that talks about the new show IPR on 92.3 Saturday at 10 o'clock. But he says you had a longtime political commentator and leader, conservative leader Kelvin Moxley, and longtime developer real estate expert Victor Jernigan to announce their new radio show, and said Mr. Grant Henry asked him, well, what percentage of people know about this? So you got popped there again from Hunley.
All right.
They said, oh, maybe 3%, maybe 4%, maybe 5%. And these people have been on a long time, so obviously the regular media has done a very good job of talking about this. And it goes on and talks about these things and what they're going to do and all the drafts and all this, the problems with it. The problem is they promised us a workshop, and they don't want to give it to us. They want to give us this bummed rush job, this gobbledygook they sent out and going to have it at 3 o'clock on the 14th. The worst possible time to have a meeting is 3 o'clock because if you're at work, you can't get there. If you're picking up kids in school, you can't get there, and they all know this. But Huntley did a great job of talking. Plus, he popped you quite a bit. So I like the fact the synergy between these different media is creating this new Tennessee Valley Freedom Media. I like that. And I think that there's an old story in politics that we talked about it being 0.1%, now it's 5%. The magic number is 7%. When you get to 7%, that is the 7% solution, you begin to have a synergistic, almost algorithmic growth. It goes from 7 to 15. If we get this 5 up to 7, it'll soon be 15. When it gets 15%, it becomes viral. That's knowledge about Recode and what's really going on here. So I think that might well happen.
Well, JB, let me say here, too, on the way out, there's been no orchestration or coordinated effort on the behalf of myself, Real News, Roz, and I just say that, though, just to draw attention to the beauty behind the organic nature that is the coverage of this topic. I'm trying, personally, Grant, not Mr. Henry, me, the human being Grant, is trying to remain as objective as possible.
I forget who I'm talking to sometimes, Grant.
Well, but Jay, I'm telling you, buddy, I can't see it any other way. I've been begging for somebody else to come to this program. I don't want Recode Mike. I don't want you to be correct about this, but nobody else is telling me that you're wrong. So when Steve Huntley and I organically fall on the exact same page at the exact same conclusion, let it be known right now, I don't know who this guy is. I've never met this guy before. It just so happens that like-minded people fall on truth on occasion.
Let me just, before we go, let me say one more thing. Because of all this, and by the way, there's another article by Mike Steele interviewing several city council persons. Very interesting, what these city council people are saying. So get the focus and read it. See what the county city council is saying. Many of these people are now feeling the pressure. They're feeling a little reservation. They realize, and here's the thing I want to say today. After all of this, here's my demand letter from me to the city council. You give us the workshop you promised us, not this mealy-mouthed, ramrod vote, kind of pressure these people. I know they're in a lot of pressure. You give us that workshop. And by the way, with that workshop, you give us, suspend the rules, you can, and temporarily suspend the rules and move the public forum to the first of this meeting, let the people speak before, you can do that. I demand this workshop. I demand that you return our workshop, and you move this vote down the hill somewhere. If you don't give us our workshop, then we will move forward to December. Statutory limit, by the end of 2 years, we can vote to recall, a movement to recall certain county city officials, city council people. If you don't vote to give us this workshop, if you don't work to let the people have a voice, if you try to frustrate the people's will, we will move forward and we will be set to do a recall on everybody who votes to deny or frustrate the people's will in December. That's a promise. So you hear that? Do it the right way, or we can do it the hard way.
Yeah. JB, last thing I'll say on the way out. Look, it's Recode today. What's it going to be tomorrow? You understand?
This is a bad template. If we allow this, bad template, bad process, bad product, bad government. This is about the government, not about Recode.
Gotcha.
If this template survives, they can run anything by us. We can't let it happen.
JB, as always, appreciate hearing from you, sir. We'll talk to you soon. There goes JB, 9:35. I push Roz real late on this one. I'll be back with Stimpy, then Joe.
Well, that's pretty cool. We got mentioned in Knox Focus. On Wednesday morning, WETR Real News 92.3. Oh, it's the first time Real News has been mentioned. Thanks, Steve. I got to meet this guy one day. Real News radio program veteran, political commentator, and former co-leader of the Tennessee Conservative Union, Kelvin Moxley, joined longtime property developer and real estate expert Victor Jernigan to announce their new radio program, IPR, Intersection of Politics and Real Estate, which will be on every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Morning host Mr. Henry asked both Moxley and Jernigan how many people in Knoxville knew what Recode is. Moxley said 3%. Jernigan said 4%, no more than 5%. Interesting. Oh, cool. It gives me one more shout out. There was a public notice of the special call meeting on May 14th at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, but only Knoxville Focus and WETR 92.3 informed the public of the special call meeting. All right. I appreciate the shout out, Steve Hunley. Someone turn me on to Steve Hunley. How do I get in touch with this guy? I feel like we're kindred spirits. We don't even know it. Aaron, I think specifically what you mentioned is probably factually correct, that white people had the highest abortion rates, but based upon the proportional representation per capita, if you will, of each race getting abortions, I guess what I'm saying is, yes, white people have the highest abortion rates, primarily because there's more white people than black people. At least every single statistic I've ever looked at shows that, proportionally speaking, African Americans have far more abortions than any other race. I mean, that stat being 36% of abortions are done on black women, but black women only make up 6.5% of the total population. So I mean, that same statistical variability between white women make up, I don't know, however many percent of the American population, compared to what percentage of abortions are done on white women. You get what I'm saying? Heather, you talking about Recode Knoxville? It's not being covered because no one cares about it. I mean, I don't mean this to sound off-putting, but why would they care about it? Now, hear me out for a second. Dude, you get that notice of Recode in the mail. Unless you're really on your P's and Q's or you just really like political discourse, bro, no one cares about a rezoning package. It's not going to affect them. It will. It will affect them. It will affect everybody, but nobody knows that. And we're in draft 5, man. People just started waiting. I just woke up to this at the end of draft 4. I'm as much to blame as everyone else. People who were against Recode, I'll say it one more time, we missed the ball. We missed it. The very first thing we should have said was, your voice is not being recognized. City Council is trying to do something without your approval. They are banking on the fact that you don't know about this piece of legislation. That should have been the pitch. That should have been the tease. Then you get everybody. You got everybody then. What are they doing without my knowledge? What are they changing without me having to say so? What are they having multiple meetings on that'll change my life without telling me how it's going to change my life? That should have been the pitch. And then you explain to them what Recode Knoxville is. The problem we had, though, and it was sort of a brilliant scheme if you want to be real, problem that we got ourselves into, whoever the we is, the people that are not in support of Recode or supporting Recode or even want to have a conversation with, we started with the conversation of a comprehensive rezoning package. Immediately, everybody glazes over. Now they shouldn't. Heather, you're right. They should be concerned about it. But as we put stuff out there on Facebook, I'm telling you, man, it seems like outside of the Real News audience, the majority of the response that we get is, what is this? Yeah, Aaron's exactly right. People have no idea how it'll affect them, so they aren't even worried about it. They're not even looking into it. And media's certainly not going to cover it. Look, man, the only reason why I'm allowed to cover it is because of John Adams. You think I'll say this to Facebook, okay? I may not say this on air this pointedly, but I'll say this to Facebook. You think I can get away with this on 98.7? No freaking way. No way. No way. At least from what I've been told. May come back to bite me later on. But however, 98 said the only other talk town in station, somebody's probably running that room, shut this down right now, stop talking about that. You don't do that in this area. Only reason why we're able to do anything about it is because of John. And let me say, man, for Facebook, the more and more controversial we get, the more and more risk John is taking to let me keep running with this stuff. So if you really want to give somebody credit, I'd say give credit for John for not running in here and shutting this thing down. He could. Be a lot easier on him if he did. Honestly, I mean, I'm wondering a little bit, Heather, you said just can't quit wondering why this isn't being covered, topic of the local story. I mean, I'm wondering if every single print media source out there right now, the only thing they're really concerned about, and this goes for everyone from Knoxville News Sentinel all the way up to CNN and Fox News. Unfortunately, in the day and age of Twitter and YouTube and Facebook taking over, I was just telling my parents about PewDiePie over the weekend, the most viewed person in all of human history. In that day and age, it seems like all print media is concerned about is staying alive. And if Recode Knoxville is not politically sexy enough to sell ads or sell papers, they're a business, man. And unfortunately right now, they're in the business of staying alive, not necessarily in the business of reporting. I mean, it sucks to say, but it's pretty much true.
Real quick update. I'm seeing if I can have time to play this audio. We probably won't have time because I want to get to Stimpy and Joan. Here's what Mike sent me, though. On the Sunday TV talk show, Tennessee This Week, with Blake Stevens, WATE, TV 13, Mayor Mike sent me this. Mayor Recode Rahera, just Mayor Rahera for those that know, admits that Knoxville zoning has been updated every year for 50 years. On this program, we got the clip here. Maybe pull it up in a second. Mayor Rahera admits that Knoxville zoning has been updated every year for 50 years, proving Recode was based on a lie that our zoning has not changed for 50 years. Please listen to the enclosed, they say. Oh, we're just dealing with some people on Facebook responding to comments from...
So, I'm confused.
Yeah.
Is nobody else? Is it just me?
Yeah, well, it should be, right?
Is that serious?
Yeah. Turn this. Can you get this computer going, Russ? It's only a minute and 13 seconds. Actually, here, hang on. Do this, Russ. Turn the yellow mic on for me. It's one of those things that's in mono again. Here, we getting that? Here, just listen to this.
For Recode Knoxville, there are still many people in the city unsure about what's in it. What's your message to those people who still not really sure?
Well, first I want to thank all the people who have participated, the hundreds, thousands of people who have participated over the last 2.5 years on Recode. Everything that we have done, all of this is online. If you go to Recode Knoxville, Google that, and you can get a lot of information. If you have questions, call the MPC, the Knox County Planning Office, and they would be glad to answer questions as well.
What?
But the reality is we're at a point where we need to vote. We need to move it on. This will be a living document, much like the zoning code that we've had for the last 50-plus years. If we got something wrong, the council can change it. The Planning Commission and council can make changes to it. We intend to keep our stakeholders committee, who has been helping guide this throughout the process, really broad-based stakeholders meeting, our committee. We will keep them in place so they can continue to monitor the implementation of Recode.
All right. You can kill that mic for me, Ross. Okay. I'm trying to look at this rationally. I promise you. I'm not trying to. I understand. I understand. We have a niche audience here. I only speak to my audience members. I might have a potential bias that I've been purposely led into. I get that. Okay. I'm trying to approach this, but when I hear Mayor Rahera, and if I could get her on my program, I would say the same thing to her, ask the same thing to her. A little bit, yeah. I mean, a little bit Twilight Zone-ish. I don't know. I don't know what am I supposed to do with that response. I mean, maybe, admittedly, I might be wrong with this perspective, but Mayor Rahera, you are the mayor of the city. If anybody should have a tacit...
You can't do anything with it. That's why.
But if anybody should have a tacit understanding of what's going on with this Recode, it should probably be you. So if someone asks you a direct question, your first response, at least if I'm a strategist, should
just
probably...
go to the website.
That shouldn't be your first response.
Just go there. It says everything right there.
Ask the people that are doing it. Why is it not? You have something to do with it. They've called upon you right now.
Absolutely.
That's my first immediate glaring problem, all right? Second problem that we moved into, when she responded by saying, well, it's going to be a living, breathing document. We just need to get it passed now. And if there's mistakes, we'll correct them going forward.
That's not a Pelosi. I don't know what is.
Admittedly, there may be something I'm missing. Admittedly. But if your proposal, your pitch to persuade the city of Knoxville is, well, let's just pass it and hope there's nothing problematic with it. And if there is something problematic, we'll figure out in the future. Why not figure that out right now?
She's not the future because somebody else is going to be in her seat, so she doesn't have to worry about it after that.
Well, exactly. But if I'm trying the best I can to fit myself in Rahera's shoes, or the best I can to fit myself through the proper lens viewing glasses of a person that's accepting this, if what you're telling me, if I'm trying to everything above board, prima facie, true on its face, everything above board, if what I'm being told is, let's just pass it right now because we have to, and if there are problems going forward, we'll deal with them when they get there. Well, my response would be, well, you're already seemingly making an allowance for there to possibly be problems. Why not just deal with those right now?
Isn't it funny that, it's been going on for 2 years now, and they're like, hurry up, let's pass it while Rahera's still in the seat?
Well, and the bigger point
is that what we're doing right now, so she can pass it? Because if somebody else comes over, they're probably not going to be about it.
The bigger point that Mike was making, is saying that Recode being based on a lie that our zoning has not changed for 50 years, whereas you just heard Mayor Rahera say that it'll be a similar, ongoing, living document that will change from year to year, like our current package is, which I would say inevitably begs the question of, well, if you're pitching it in the sense that it's not going to be all that different than what we currently have, why, where's the need, where's the necessity to change? I don't understand where that's coming from. And again, I go back to Facebook comments. Heather, Aaron, Matt, and Ray all basically getting on the same page here. Heather is starting to ask the question, I just can't quit wondering why this isn't being covered. Why this topic isn't being covered at the local story in every news outlet in Knoxville. And it's not. It's basically us and Knox Focus, so says Steve Hunley, okay? And the fact that it's only a few people that are covering it means that I may not know as much as I possibly should. And I am totally willing to admit that. Dude, how many times do I have to say, I don't want JB or Recode, Michael, or Stimpy to be correct. I want them to be wrong about this issue. But I need someone to come in here and tell me objectively why they are wrong. I would love to deal in facts about this. We are in a very unfortunate situation right now, though, where print media, from everyone from Knox Focus, Knoxville News Sentinel, anyone right now, all the way up to CNN, they are trying to stay alive. Knox Focus has figured out a way to do it. Knoxville News Sentinel, they are trying to stay alive. So if Recode Knoxville doesn't sell papers, they're a business that's trying to stay alive. They're not necessarily in the business right now of reporting something that is of concern to the city of Knoxville.
Or, it's political suicide, right?
Or it's political suicide. I mean, all that, sure. I'll say this on the way out, too, okay? Look, there's a lot I don't know. There's a lot I'm willing to admit that I don't know. On its face, though, I don't know how you can't immediately think, okay, man, and I've never met Mayor Rahera. I've asked her to be in this program several times so I can ask her to her face. I don't want to get as, I don't mean to sound antagonistic, but when she responds by saying, you're the city, you're the mayor of the city. Someone asks you a question about Recode Knoxville, that is arguably one of your legacy points, and you push them off to other people to answer the questions. You push them off to a website saturated with legalese that makes sense to nobody. You push them off on the NPC, which they're never going to. Dude, I can't get in touch with the NPC, and I host a talk radio program. I have a voice to the people, a Fox News affiliated talk radio. I can't get in touch with these people. You think some random Joe down the street's going to be able to get an answer? Come on. I can't get a single one of y'all on this program. Joe down the street's not going to be able to. And then to follow it up with saying this is really going to be no different. It's a living document. Pass it, and if problems come up later, we'll deal with the problems. I'll finalize on this. I've been going real long today. I just need to get some of this out. Let it be known right now. Let it be known for all the history of real news, if this ever does anything to affect this community, the first person that should get credit for this is Station Manager Admiral John Adams. I will say this definitively right now in the form of a rhetorical question. You think I could get away with this sense of coverage anywhere else? Anywhere. You think anybody else is going to put my voice like this on the airwaves? Not a single one of them. someone would probably come and run in this room right now, shut down that conversation. Stop, hit the dump button, drop it. Don't bring that topic up again. I'll talk about it, sure, but I'll talk about whatever. If it weren't for John Adams taking the risk on his own head, his own station, to get this word out, to cover it properly, you wouldn't be hearing about this. You just quite simply wouldn't. 9:52, hit this break, man. Come back. If I can get Stimpy and Joan on both, about a minute or two each, so we can get them both in here at the end of the show. Hit this break. Be right back. I'll talk about it, sure, but I'll talk about whatever. If it weren't for John Adams taking the risk on his own head, his own station, to get this word out, to cover it properly, you wouldn't be hearing about this. I don't know what. I don't know. They don't know. They don't know who Mr. Henry is over there, man. Yeah, Matt, dude, I hear you. This is her sort of falling for her handlers. Yeah, but bro, she's not doing a great job of falling on it either. You know what I mean? Like she could just fall straight up on it. I mean, maybe she is, but I don't know, dude. Honestly, I'll listen to the clip again. I will, and maybe I'm taking it out of context. It's only a minute long, but it doesn't exactly look like she's trying to be in. It doesn't sound as if she's making a concerted effort to be persuasive. I'll put it that way. Where one would prefer a concerted effort to be persuasive, it sounds like she's it sounds a little bit like she's speaking that in a way that this has already been accomplished. Did this.
But if you close your eyes, does it hurt?
Back to Real News, ladies and gentlemen. All right, this is what I'm going to do. It's Stimpy, Joan, hate cutting y'all through all this, but literally it's 9:54, 4 minutes left, right at 2 minutes each. Go with Stimpy first. Go ahead, buddy.
Yes, good morning. Everything that you actually did this morning, it was all fantastic work. And what I've actually been trying to explain, and I want to be wrong, but everything that I am looking up, it just further supports my whole issue that I'm seeing with where we're seeing these radicalized changes coming
Same here,
from.
buddy, and it's not confirmation bias, man. I'm just seeing what I'm seeing.
Exactly. And now what I want to do is, I know I've only got a minute or two to work with you on this, but I want to go ahead and go through a little bit of this. For example, because the United Nations, this is a repeating theme. The United Nations was established in 1945. Well, what is it the United Nations actually wants to do? For example, armed violence, small arms in the United Nations. The United Nations Charter commits nations to maintain international peace and security and to collectively prevent and remove threats to peace. So the United Nations actually introduced this whole bill about removing the Second Amendment to actually remove people's ability to defend themselves. Let's go ahead and continue down this list of what in the world. Okay, so now where you were actually talking about Margaret Sanger.
Hey, just, 30 seconds, buddy, so I can get to Joan, but go ahead.
94-913, Statement of International Planned Parenthood, Mr. Alexander Sanger. This was at the United Nations. I actually sent this to Roz. She should have forwarded it to you. It was Alexander C. Sanger, President and CEO, Margaret Sanger Center, International Planned Parenthood of New York City. And now for the last tie-in for the Black Lives Matter, United Nations Forum explores ongoing discrimination faced by people of African descent. and I can get into more detail on this.
I hear you,
Whenever
Stimpy,
you start
buddy.
looking at these radical things, let's just look at these outside forces. How much money is the United Nations actually bringing to the table to stay silent and make these things happen? Because that's why I've been trying to explain so much, especially when it comes down to sustainable city development. This is where this stuff is coming from.
I hear you, Stimpy. I got to give Joan at least last minute here, buddy. I always love hearing from you. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
There goes Stimpy. Hey, Joan, real quick, last minute of the show here. Go ahead.
Radio Free East Tennessee, the mighty 760 AM. Good morning, everybody. And now, no mention on any of the major networks this morning. I don't get Fox, so they might have covered it. 43 rockets hit Israel. They retaliated, hitting 300 sites. Not a word on any ABC, NBC, CBS. Also, there was a huge Right to Life rally put on by Focus of the Family in Times Square this weekend.
Yeah, they were doing live ultrasound demonstrations, weren't they?
10 to 13,000 people. Not a word. This is propaganda time. It's not media time. That's all you're getting. The most dangerous part of what they do is what they refuse to report.
I hear you, Joan. Hey, we got to hit the end of the show here. Always love hearing from Joan. 9:58. Stick around for news, traffic, weather, all that. Glenn Beck coming up next. Tomorrow, going to want to tune in. I'm going through a deep, deep dive into the abuse through the FISA court, what's about to come with the I.G. Horowitz report. And New York Times now is even admitting that the FBI implanted spies. No, wait. They're just trying to get out in front of that story. Be back with all that tomorrow, doing it big.
All right, Facebook, y'all the best. Bring all this back from him on Conspiracy Theory Thursday. I may just do 2 full segments Conspiracy Theory Thursday. We have this Thursday, hang on, the author of
Why don't we do a remote in front of? Okay. Why don't we do a remote in front of Rahera's office?
Yeah, I mean, we could.
She would have to talk to us.
Well,
I'm a good blocker. I mean, that's not illegal, right?
No, it's not illegal. You would have to get a permit for it, though. I mean, if it's on public space somewhere, you would still have to get a permit for.
Like in front of the building.
Yeah. I mean, we could maybe get that permit before the 14th, before that vote goes down. I'm trying to think about what strategy would she even. I doubt she would even come on. I don't know. Let's get Rich. I mean, we got her cell phone number. Let's get Richard to reach out to her one more time. Shoot, I'll call her even, and just say, hey, look, we want to give you one more opportunity to come on the program. Yada yada. You may know about our stance. Whatever we want to be disproven. We would like to. You know what I mean? Dispel some of these rumors that are. I'm sure you would like to too. If I was Rahera, goodness gracious, man. Or maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't.
She doesn't want to. You heard her response. She knows what it is. That's why hurry up and pass it. Hurry up and pass it. And if you need any information, just go ahead to the website. It's fine.
Yeah.
If you're really trying to defend yourself, you would defend yourself. She didn't do any of that. That's the most generic BS I've ever heard.
I mean, what's probably going on, if I was Rahera, I would think to myself...
Like, how many times did you rehearse that in the mirror?
Well, and Facebook will get this. I would never do this on air, but I would probably think to myself, look, it's Knox Focus. They're brand new. They have no followers, and it's 92.3, one of the smaller stations in town. It's 5% of the population, and nobody's talking about it. Just let it die. Just let it die. Regardless of the stink of the noise, this is what I would do if I was Rahera. Regardless of the stink of the noise these 2 outlets are making about it, I'm not going to give interviews with them. I'm not lending credence to that side of the argument. It's only 5% of the people anyways. Now, granted, only 5% of the people know about it. Those 5% of the people that know about it, 100% of those 5% of the people are all concerned about it. But I'm certainly not lending validity to their concerns. I wouldn't go on any program. Now, unfortunately, if we continue to reach out to Rahera and she refuses to show up, that'll give me an ability to say, here's the email exchange. We haven't heard back, like we can do with Green and everyone else, right?
Well, I'll send you them. the number then. I want to see if we can go down there. That's what I want to do. I want to go set up. I want to be set up. I want to be on air while she's walking into her office.
I see, and I agree with you. I'm trying to figure out a way at this point that would actually make a difference in something, though. Rahira's won. She won.
Oh, absolutely.
If you look at this in a sense of maybe I'm misreading the motivations, but if her whole thing was to establish this legacy and get this whole thing passed, it's over. It's done. She doesn't have any reason to give.
But
any
we
further
win as a
clarification on
media outsource.
Oh yeah,
on the topic.
Yeah, to keep pushing her to it, right? But as far as what's the guy? Marshall Stair. He's one of the guys that I think should be the sole guy desperately trying to get on these programs right now. He's running for city mayor, and he's on city council. He's going to have to vote on this thing, and he's the only one.
Have we contacted him?
Yeah, Richard reached out to him on.
What is he saying?
Nothing. I don't think we've even gotten a response from him yet, but.
Because everybody's scared.
Oh yeah. But it sucks though because nobody else running for city mayor right now is going to have to be held accountable to this decision, aside from Stair. And they're going to ask Stair questions about what about the Recode stuff, and nobody else on the panel is going to have to answer. So now, what everyone wanted to become an election issue is only going to become an election issue for one guy. And if I was that guy, I'd want to get everyone right now and iron this out before the vote even came down. More importantly, if I was running a political campaign, I would be pushing for this to become an election issue. Dude, I'm not going to be the only one up here dealing with a major issue, even if I'm for or against it. It doesn't matter. It is a major issue that I'm the only candidate that has to answer for. Screw that. Screw all that. I'm doing as much as I can to push this out. I want my candidates to deal with this just like I have to deal with this too. You know what I mean? But it's done, man. It's the vote's happening on the 14th, whether we want it to or not. It's happening at 3 p.m., whether we want it to or not.
I don't care. I'm going to send you the number. I'm going to see if we can find it.
Do it. All right, Facebook. I'm going to end it there. What I was saying is Thursday we have Dr. Nick Begich. Goodness gracious, I'm butchering that guy's name. Anyways, Angels still don't play this harp. I think he's on for the whole hour. Should be interesting for Conspiracy Theory Thursday. His security stuff tomorrow. But yeah, if you want to push this whole thing again, yeah, we can do that on Thursday. I really want y'all to tune back in tomorrow, man. I've been working my little booty off trying to go all the way back to 2012 and research FISA abuse starting in 2012. Man, there's so many juicy little tidbits. I'll post some of this stuff where I'm pulling it from on Facebook so y'all can research for yourself. But anyways, just suffice it to say, the conclusion that I eventually fell on was, to me, it's starting to look like the Steele dossier, even as early as a month ago, I thought the Steele dossier was intentionally fabricated to start the justification for the investigation. What I'm now thinking is that the Steele dossier was meant to justify, rationalize, or more importantly, cover up the previous abuses that were taking place in the FISA court, the insane amount of what are called Section 702 about queries, Section 702, 16 and 17 about queries, where the FBI and the CIA try and access NSA database. And these about queries are, if they were to do an about query on me, any phone call I'm making would track location, metadata of exchanges of emails, text messages, phone calls, where the phone call was placed from, the numbers that were dialed, the length of the phone calls themselves. So the FBI and the CIA could access those about queries, export them, delete them upon accessing them. It became such a problem that this FISA court judge wrote a review on it and said that 85% of those about queries were done without legal justification. 85%, man. It got so bad that NSA Director Mike Rogers shut down the entire program in 2016. Right after he shut down the program in 2016 is when the Steele dossier surfaced. Someone was getting wise to the game. They needed backdoor justification of why they were doing all those allegedly illegal about queries. Anyways, hopefully we get into some of that tomorrow. Y'all are the best. Love you. Peace.